And we're back.
Yeah.
With Best Surprise.
Okay.
Surprise, we're back.
Hey,
Surprise.
Post-wardrobe change.
Surprise, we all changed clothes.
We took a little lunch break.
Nice refreshing
and
shower.
my lunch was new clothes.
How did that taste?
And humanimals.
I'm very full.
Oh, gross.
I ate my old clothes.
I went back to the hotel and changed.
Okay.
I don't know
edible
what's
hat?
wrong with you people.
Probably the smart way.
Yeah.
Edible hat? No,
Yeah.
you can't eat hats.
Is it sort of like when... Never mind.
Only underwear is edible.
Oh, yeah. And humanimals.
Humanimals don't wear underwear.
But you can't
I
eat them.
beg to differ.
That's a part of them. It's its whole thing.
All right.
It's like a Yoshi saddle. Meat underwear.
I'm going to read this list
Okay.
of games that surprised us. Fire Pro Wrestling World? Is that out?
No.
We'll talk about that. But yes. Yes, but no, but yes.
Golf Story. The Sexy Brutal.
Les Sexy.
Player Unknown's Battlegrounds. Hollow Knight. Nier Automata. Metroid Samus Returns. Monster Hunter Stories. Battle Chef Brigade. Zelda Breath of the Wild. Starfox 2.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Came out this year.
Right. Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice. Sonic Mania. Hey, Pikmin.
I'm sorry. Please pronounce the
Hey! Pikmin.
all right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Resident Evil 7. Brother Ate My Pudding.
Oh.
Dream Daddy. Local Host. That sounds cool. I don't know
It
what
is
that
cool.
is. Million Onion Hotel. A Mortician's Tale. A Subsurface Circular. Uncharted The Lost Legacy. And Observer. What is Local Host?
It
That
is
sounds
an
like that is-
itch.io game. I believe it's free to play. It might be $5. It's basically you are tasked with wiping the memories of these like AIs, basically.
Oh, that game. Yes.
And there are a bunch of different ones, and it's sort of like, do you choose to wipe their memories or do you not choose to wipe their memories? It's good. It's really good.
Is it one of the year's best surprises?
I think it could be discussed in the realm of them, but it seems like I am maybe the only one who has played it.
Yeah, I'm looking at pictures right now.
It's very cool.
I remember seeing a lot of screenshots from that game and people talking about it, but I have not played it.
It looks cool.
Oh, we seem to have a late edition here from Vinny.
Oh.
I didn't play it.
Oh, yeah.
But
Which
people
one?
kept saying the
That is-
mummy.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
knew
true.
I knew we were forgetting stuff.
The mummy demastered. People said was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's neat.
It's like a Metroidvania type thing?
It
Yeah.
is.
I should play that, shouldn't I?
It is quite good.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
Yes.
All right. Well, we keep them all on, and okay. The first,
That's the category.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
Congratulations to all games.
hey, Pikmin's bad.
I don't like it
Then
at all.
Then it should not be on
Really?
this list.
Okay, all right. I think I put it. Maybe I put it on there because I was like, oh, it's surprising that they were able to translate Pikmin mechanics into a 2D thing.
It's not
I
fun.
sat in on that quick look. It seemed kind of cool.
It's just like very one note.
Okay.
Yes, yes. It doesn't scratch any of that.
Is
Like
it surprising how bad it is?
No, it's just
Okay,
boring.
But
It's
what
still not a
if
good
you
surprise.
dislike Pikmin?
It's still
and
a
looking at
boring
this, I was
2D.
like, okay, this is a Pikmin for me.
It's still boring.
We should.
It's
Yeah, we
also
should,
really, really easy. Like,
Yeah.
All right.
we should reiterate. Best surprise is usually is a positive surprise.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah.
It's a
And
positive.
this
That's
is-
usually what best means.
Yeah.
It's sort of this.
I don't know.
it's-
Best is just greatest in
Yeah.
a very abstract sense.
this is sort of the flip of most disappointing.
Yep.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
a
So
lot of
expectations matter.
Yeah.
So like if we thought something was going to be super bad and turned out to not
Right.
be super bad, then that counts for a lot in this category.
I've been playing a lot of Metroid Samus Returns, but I don't know if it was very surprising that it's very good.
I was
surprising
surprised.
considering the developer.
Yes.
Considering Mercury Steam made that awful Castlevania game. No,
It was bad.
I'm talking about the
portable one.
handheld
Yes,
one.
the 2D
portable
one.
Well, they made all of those.
Yeah, they made all of those.
The first
But,
Lords of Shadow is good.
like we can have a Lords of Shadow conversation.
Parts of the first Lords of
separately.
Shadow are good.
didn't mind.
But did you play
Remember-
which one?
Yeah,
The portable
I
game?
watched you play some of that 3DS game one time.
So I
Was
would
it not that bad?
I don't like it at all.
Oh well, right. If you
I-
compare it to the first Lords of Shadow, I mean, listen,
I
everything's gonna fall
felt
short.
like all the doomsaying about Mercury Steam being the developer of this was a little overblown. Like right from the announcement, people were just like, "Oh, fucking Mercury
finally
Steam!"
people
man,
realizing
fuck this."
the amazing talents of Mercury Steam.
I mean, I was a little skeptical, but it took on a life of its own. People were just like, "Oh, it's Mercury Steam. That's going to be terrible."
maybe that's why I'm not surprised.
I think it was-
if people are like,
If you look,
I think
it's,
it was a little
I
too
think
much.
that gets joined up with the way they announced it. Of just
Yes.
like on
Yes.
this after
Yeah,
show, they
that-
said, "Oh, by the way, we're
Yeah.
making a Metroid game," and then you're like, "Why would they do that?" And you're like, "Oh, because they're not making it. Oh, because the people that made that really terrible portable Castlevania game made it.
And it's like 2.5D, like that Castlevania
like that Castlevania
game.
game. It's very easy to look at that and draw a lot of parallels to
Yes.
that awful, terrible Castlevania
Well,
game.
and also, it's like, oh, they just put out a really good remake of AM2R, not an official, or Metroid 2, and
That was probably the weirdest surprise
Yeah.
of like, hey, what are you doing?
well, the fact that none of those concerns actually were a thing at the end, like it doesn't even feel like AM2R. It's good, like the 2.5D stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's mainly like it still feels like a Metroid game, whereas that Castlevania game, the combat was too.
Yeah.
Like it's so snappy in the 2D ones.
Right.
And this one
This
I had like
was-
the slowness
yeah,
of the
it was-
3D
It was
stuff.
kludgy.
Yeah. No,
a truly dreadful video game.
yes. No one likes it.
No.
Everyone agrees. I thought Metroid 2 was definitely one of my favorite surprises of the year.
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel like that one is.
I think it's in the conversation. I don't necessarily think it's going to make top 3, but I
I
think
don't
it
either.
is a genuinely surprising
Yeah,
thing.
I don't think it'll be top 3, but I just had to say that like that is an awesome game.
Yeah, I don't think we should cut it. I think that
I think
might.
I think it's a great game.
I feel like that could make top 3. Honestly, we'll see where we get to.
Not impossible.
All right.
I added one to the bottom there. Life is Strange Before the Storm. It's surprising that game is good because the demo makes it look very bad. The first few minutes make it look very bad,
And
but it
even
is
just,
very good.
when it is set, like before
Right.
the powers.
Yes.
You're like, well, wait a minute,
There
isn't that
are-
the whole point of that game?
Everybody I know
Exactly.
who was a Life is Strange fan was super down on the idea of that game.
Yes.
Like from the get-go.
and the production problems.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
so
like
was I.
changing developer and like it didn't have the character everybody likes and
Yeah.
all that
But
stuff.
it's good, even with the different voice actors. I mean, it's like a shame, all that stuff, obviously, but the game is good. The game is fun. The characters are really captivating. I don't think we have the last chapter as of recording this, but what has been set has been very good.
I didn't really like that first episode that much.
Did you play the second one?
I haven't played the second one because I didn't like the first one that
I
much.
think the second one gets better.
Okay.
But I liked the first one, but I think the second one gets better. You have more choices that are like, oh, these actually have real weight, and like I actually feel like I am impacting the game. Whereas in the first one, I feel like it's a little more of like, here's the setup, and you're making some choices, but like they don't feel as weighty.
Right.
Now, does the game have to be good, or can it just be a surprise?
I think it could just be a
Some
Okay,
of
so
both.
Star Fox 2 is the thing where that game's not good.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
That
you're
game-
right.
that
Like the
game is-
surprise
It's
is
best,
that
it's best surprise, not biggest surprise.
yeah.
But
yeah, I mean,
Right.
the surprise there is just the fact that it was unearthed from the fucking
Also,
watery
is it
grave they had put it in.
It's
It's not great.
if you played it back then, it probably would have been
Yeah,
fine.
and someone who did
okay.
play it back then, you're like, okay, this is like cool stuff that they're doing to Starfox. I don't know. I think that that makes top 3, honestly, because
Wow, really?
I look at it and I look at it as like, here's a game that was dead and buried. You were like they were never going to put that thing out, and it was like lost to time. There were leaks and stuff that people, and those leaks were not complete. People had to cobble them together into something resembling a playable game, and for them to like, this doesn't happen in games.
I can't think of it ever happening
Yeah,
like this.
for them to say like, hey, we're acknowledging this canceled completed game,
Yeah.
and we're going to put it out commercially all these years after the fact. It's like when an album gets held up in some weird legal limbo,
Right.
artist dispute,
something
something or other, and it never comes out, and then years later, bootleg surface and all this other stuff, and then finally they're like, hey, definitive box set, we've gone back and remastered this thing, and here it is. I think that's crazy. And it was a huge, awesome surprise. Like,
Yeah.
from
I
like
agree, yeah.
I think
like
that's
almost
fair.
like a game preservation standpoint of just like, it's rad that this thing finally got out in some form.
It's really cool.
I get what you're saying. I just would feel a lot better if the game was actually good.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is that
Yeah.
like in when all of that is said and done, Star Fox 2 is what we thought it was. Like they didn't deliver something that was inherently unexpected. The unexpected element was the fact that they bothered to bring it out at all.
Right.
Did they ever put it out on any of the virtual consoles?
No,
You can
no,
only get it
never.
on
It's
Xbox.
only packaged in
Yeah.
the little tiny.
Like it was
console.
crazy when they announced that.
Yeah, I think that's just huge, and I think in this case, I would say the quality of the game is secondary to it being released at all. I think that was. I sure as fuck did not expect that to
No.
ever happen, especially at a Nintendo.
At a Nintendo is a
and
really weird
it's
one.
just so cool.
I say we keep it on then.
Yeah,
That's such a crazy, unique thing.
We can come back to that.
I really liked Observer, and I feel like that came out of nowhere as a weird little thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd hear
I
more
liked
about
it.
that.
I haven't played it yet, but you telling me that Rutger Hauer is bad in it
I know.
is really deflating any enthusiasm I had.
I think the most surprising thing about that game is that it's from the people who made what was that that fucking like old house horror game.
That art game that
Yes.
we played.
Layers. No,
Layers of
Layers
Fear,
of Fear,
Layers of
yeah,
Fear.
and it's like they made something that is, at least in terms of tone and delivery, wildly different from that pretty quickly after Layers of Fear came out. But the game itself, I think, is mostly just like, this is kind of neat.
It's fun. I really like the beginning. It kind of lost me a lot towards the end. It's a lot of chasing stuff that's not fun at all. I think even for people who like horror chasey games.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I enjoyed it more than I thought I would.
I hadn't heard anything about it, and then like when it dropped, I was like, "This is really neat." Like it's got a really cool aesthetic, and like what they're doing here, and like Rucker Hauer's in it, and like how did that happen?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I just think there are probably bigger surprises.
Also, admittedly, a lot of that aesthetic is just Blade Runner.
Right. Yes.
I mean, that's,
but I don't mind that. It's good.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the aesthetics and a lot of these games are
something else. Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair.
I added a game. I added Tooth and Tail. That game is surprising because did anyone else play it?
No.
A little bit,
just a little bit.
I thought they did a really good job of like consoleizing
so
like an
that's
RTS.
What the big surprise to me was they made a good RTS that you control with a controller.
Yep.
Oh, really?
I hadn't heard about it before at all. It just kind of like came out of nowhere. It had a really cool art style, really cool music. Like a good story. I wish I had more time, or else I would have played a bunch more of it. But it was just like really astounding how they managed to make a good RTS that you control. They say in the tutorial, they're like, "Hey, play this with the controller. We know you're on a computer, but like, trust
Give it a
us.
shot. Trust us. Do it."
And it works.
Really?
Yeah. If many other people didn't play it, I'm fine losing it, but I definitely was surprised by it in a very positive way.
I tried it, and I would like to play some more of it. It's cool, but it didn't like sink its fangs.
It's too little gnarly.
Yeah.
So we can drop that guy. I just wanted to bring it up.
Okay.
I think Golf Story is a really cool idea that I did not find very fun to play.
Me neither.
That's a bummer.
I really
I
like
wanted to like that a
saying
lot.
I thought it was fun, but I think after a few hours of it, you get it, and then it's just sort of like it's more of the same.
At some point, there's some golf in
I
there.
heard it's too much golf.
There's
golf
a lot of
story
golf.
has a lot of golf.
There is.
A lot of story, but
It's like neat when you're, using your golf ball to solve puzzles and stuff,
yeah.
but then you do that so much, and now it's like, now play 9 holes of golf.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And you're like, well, I've kind of been doing that.
With like the simplest golf mechanics, and
Yeah.
like the green, the putting stuff is not great.
Like that is some NES golf.
yeah.
Yeah.
that's the part
it
that
was
I'm kind of
surprisingly
into is in a sense.
I
It doesn't
appreciate the
satisfy there.
simplicity
Yeah.
of the golf. I actually liked that too, but like it was just too simple for how much you were doing.
I
Yeah.
don't think it necessarily needs to
Yeah.
stay.
Great idea, but
Yeah. Hollow Knight. I don't know that I find that surprising, but I guess I just don't really like that game very
Yeah.
much.
I like that game.
Yeah, I mean, the surprise of that game is that I had no idea what it was or where it came from when I happened upon it, and it, being someone that does not like that type of game much at all, like I was surprised how into it I got. I do think it is a neat surprise, but it is probably not top 3.
I felt that way
I
about
agree.
another game that did the same thing, but is unfortunately not qualified. Dead Cells. Like that was like the roguelike that really did it for me.
that game's really cool.
Hollow Knight did not.
No, I
I
love
loved Hollow
Knight.
those kinds of games, and I just could not get into Hollow Knight.
Same here.
There were just a few nitpicky things
A
that
wide
really held
array
me
of
back,
people on my
but-
Twitter feed are going to be very unhappy to hear all this.
I
Because I
really
hear
like
from
Hollow Knight.
vocal Hollow Knight fans on a
Yeah.
regular basis.
It's a neat
I don't-
game.
yeah.
I maybe don't have that level of enthusiasm for it.
I
Yeah.
think the combat is really dry. Like I don't much care for the look of it.
Nope.
Top to bottom.
like the map.
I really like
map
the
system.
combat.
Yeah,
I
I
think the
like
combat
both
is
the
good.
combat
It's like
and the
because
look.
I was like, oh, it's going to feel button mashy, and it felt like a real strategy.
It's very deliberate. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the options. Yeah. Just I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's what I'm saying, Brad. Is that the people on your Twitter are bad.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Don't
just
at
true.
me.
Is
Okay.
Uncharted Lost Legacy more surprising that they put this thing out, or I mean, because
No,
like
that
it's not
it's good.
surprising that
That
it's
it's-
good.
No, I
is it?
think it is incredibly surprising.
Yes,
A Naughty
I
Dog
do.
game?
Yeah, totally.
Yes, because
Like-
it felt like such a offhand, it's basically DLC kind of thing, and it totally wasn't.
It
felt
literally
like a very-
started as DLC.
Yes.
And it
Yeah.
was going to be an expansion for 4 that they then spun out
Right.
to its own game. So
just-
yeah, you went into it going like, it's going to be like 3 hours long.
I don't know. They've done great deals. Like look at the Left Behind stuff they did for
No,
Last of
totally.
Us.
But I think going into this, it didn't have that same expectation. I think this game was very much it felt like a throwaway game. And I know I even played it being like, well, I liked Uncharted 4. Sure, why not? Thinking it would just feel like more Uncharted 4. And it felt like a new, fresh full game.
But
I liked Uncharted 4. Go ahead.
I was going to say, is that more our dumbass fault, or is that really...
No.
I liked Uncharted 4, but vast swaths of Uncharted 4 were making me feel Uncharted fatigue in a major way, and I was just I was like, really? You're going to put out a fifth one of these?
This is like a tighter thing, you know?
Yeah. Like I think I like Lost Legacy better than Uncharted 4.
Oh wow!
I mean,
it knows when to stop when that game did not. It's
but when was
very
the
tightly
last time?
paced.
When was the last time Naughty Dog put out something that was like truly disappointing or like did not match even like the basic pedigree of what they're known for?
It also monkeys with the Uncharted formula quite a bit. Like it's got that big open area.
Yeah.
It's like got like basically side quests, and you can spend like 2-3 hours just driving around.
It feels like that's like a quarter of the game.
Doing
these
this little
open area,
like side activity. Like I played that section and said like, okay, if this is where they're going with the next Last of Us, then like cool. Like you guys are actually trying some stuff.
Yeah.
And
like
the character dynamic is so fun. Like you're so used to having Nathan Drake, but having these two women was like so fun and it felt really fresh and new and good.
The kind of contentious relationship between the two characters.
And I like how like one of them would go off and kind of fight dudes on her own. That was cool.
The AI character would like help you solve puzzles. And
to point you on the right
AI
path.
character interacts with stuff in a way that they usually don't.
I think they were kind of more likable than Nathan Drake too.
I absolutely.
They like they fucking talk shit about Nathan Drake.
Yeah, pretty good.
I mean, to be fair, 4 was probably the first time I really actually liked Nathan Drake very much because like he finally got called out on his bullshit a bunch in that game. But I don't know. I guess for me, it actually would have been more surprising to me if that was actually a bad thing that they put out because I'm very accustomed to Naughty Dog not letting people down with the vast majority of things they put out.
Yeah, there is kind of a level of quality you can almost assume from them.
It's true, but again, like the writers and directors of this game were people that I had never heard of. Like that studio is very much like, especially since like Druckmann and Straley took everything over and did Last of Us and then 4, and like people like think of them as like the creative leads there, and I was like, okay, they handed this off to other people. Like, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah,
I think I like it better than the stuff those other guys did.
Yeah, totally. I feel like it's less a surprise because it's a good, competent game, and more a surprise because it's an excellent, good, fun game that's maybe better than Uncharted 4. Or at least more enjoyable to a lot of people.
Like some of the puzzles in there are better than anything. Like that shadow puzzle.
One's so cool.
The shadow puzzle where you're rotating all the stuff.
The guys with the axe and stuff.
That stuff is incredibly clever.
And I think a lot of this category is surpassing expectations.
I had pretty low expectations for that thing.
Talking about low expectations,
yes.
Monster Hunter Stories. So this is a game that came out. Then they made like a kids show based on it, and the kids show was pretty bad. And this is a very like kidified, like Pokemon style of Monster Hunter game. But it turns out it's actually pretty good. Like I like it a lot. Like unironically, it's a pretty good like Yokai Watch / Pokemon style like collect these games or collect them style game. Now, Dan, did your wife play a little bit?
She played through all of it and loved it.
She played through all of it.
Yeah, she put like a lot of time into that.
That's really surprising.
Why?
Because I mean, you don't like Monster Hunter, right?
We like different games.
I know, but didn't you try and steer her away at some point, or
no? I was just surprised. Like somebody told us that it was really good.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw on Twitter that she was like, "Oh, Dan's."
Oh, she just said he's going to break up with me for liking a Monster Hunter game, but like, no, it's. I heard it was good.
Yeah, for me that was a big deal. Like, I love Monster Hunter, obviously, and to have this in that kind of format, for me that was my biggest surprise and best. But I don't know where it's going to hang on this list with you guys.
That's the thing. We do actually have to pair some games off this list. at some point.
Like there are a lot of strong cases here.
I put stars next to a couple games that people seem to feel very strongly about.
Yeah.
I think we can take Battle Chef Brigade off. Like that is a neat thing.
Man.
It's a cool game.
I was going to really go in on that one.
The thing for me with that game is that they did put out a build of that game last year for the Kickstarter backers, and like they kind of like that game did not change in any drastic way.
That was rough.
Like the build I played, like most of the mechanics were in there. Like most of the stuff that you do in that game was in that build.
Was that the build we did the quick look at?
Yeah, or the Unfinished for,
Really? Wow.
But
I remember playing it at E3, I think, pretty recently, and it was
I played a rough build.
Yeah.
I don't know. The thing that was surprising to me was not only was the mix of combat and puzzling really good, but they managed to keep it fresh throughout the entire game. Like up through the end of the game, I felt like they were constantly evolving, like presenting new challenges. It didn't feel like I mean, I was doing the same thing over and over, but it didn't feel like I was doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah, I mean, they're very clever with the puzzle design in that game. Like, they do a good job of like dripping out the added mechanics to it and sort of keeping you engaged throughout that. And it also doesn't overstay its welcome, which is nice. Like, it has a good amount of length to it. I guess for me, it's just more that like they showed their hand for me to that game last year, and I was like, yes, this all seems cool. I'm looking forward to this. And then I feel like it delivered on that.
I kind of feel the same way when I played it back at what did we see that? PAX or something?
They sent a backer build to people who kickstarted, and we got to go look at that build.
But I think it was like a PAX or something. I played it. It was the first time I ever saw it, and it was like I think it kind of followed through on that promise. Okay. Like, I'm not saying it couldn't be like a best debut or something like that, but like it kind of delivered on the
exact thing they said it was.
I had way lower expectations than you guys. But that's fine.
I remember thinking that was a real cool thing when I saw it. I think it was PAX. It was when I had those little first time I saw those little arcade cabinets Adult Swim was making.
Oh yeah,
and it was super cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, you are right. I want to make sure we also don't confuse this with like best new game.
This is a weird category. This is like one of the most arbitrary categories in this whole thing, because it's like if we had high expectations and it was high quality, like that kind of doesn't count.
Right. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
How
like,
I feel about
it could be the best game of the year, but if we all thought it was going to be the best game of the year, it's not a surprise.
I think that's probably why I would cut Zelda from this list.
Zelda's like almost exactly what they were.
Yeah, we had multiple opportunities to see it, and the only thing you could go is like, I don't know if I believe them, and then it turned out they were.
I will say when I played it at E3 before it came out, I did not like it at all.
The surprise was that, like, okay, they've had this formula for so long, and they're really sounding like they're shaking it up. Like, I wonder if they're going to be able to pull this off.
I explicitly came out of E3 going, like, they're ripping off Minecraft and survival games and, like, X, Y, and Z from fucking YouTube, and this is going to be a disaster. Like, I seriously thought nothing of that game when I played it at E3.
Like, I would say
and then I played it this year, and I think it's easily one of the best games ever made.
Yeah, like, I wasn't as put off by that stuff from E3 as you were, but it's fair to say that the console Zelda series has not been overly exciting for a while now, and, like, there was maybe good reason to question whether, the Anuma-led Zelda project was still, going to be able to deliver.
Like, this is, like, 3 games in a row where they have, like, sort of let people down and said, like, all right, this time we're going to go back to the drawing board. This time we're going to change it up. And like the last one of those was fucking Skyward Sword.
But the way they were talking,
nobody likes.
The way they were talking about Skyward Sword was like, hey, we're gonna have good like motion control. Like, I mean,
but that was what they were selling at the time.
Sure, but and it like sort of kind of half did that, whatever. But with this game, they were like, you're gonna be out there and you're gonna see a mountain and you're gonna be able to go to the mountain.
I mean,
and
like
that's
even
what the game is.
But it was even giving that, because it was
even
like,
giving that
here's
pitch,
this old school 20-year-old pitch almost.
Yeah, like them saying that,
Nintendo, like you should have paid attention to other video games.
I was like,
turns out they did.
I was like, oh, you're making Oblivion? Like, okay, cool. Let's.
Right. Yeah.
2006 era
that was
design.
That was the pitch for games like Oblivion.
Right. So yeah, it was stuff like that. It was like I had run out of patience for giving them more chances, and then I played it and thought it was not that great.
If you want to talk about biggest surprise,
like it didn't show well.
It can be surprising how bad the combat in that game is.
Boom.
How about how boring the dungeons are?
I think my biggest surprise with Zelda, I think I was kind of sold after I played it at E3, but I was pleasantly surprised how well it ran on my Wii U.
Dude,
I don't know about that.
I was okay.
I had no issues
maybe
on
I have,
my Wii U.
I have higher standards.
Thanks.
I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean, like I get
Show him the zebra.
I get
Brad, thank you for taking the pressure off of me and not being the one that's feuding with Vinny, so I don't have to do it this year.
What I mean is, like,
tell me about my low standards.
Like, I'm more sensitive to, or like.
Hold on, let me call my wife. I'll put her on speakerphone.
She'll agree. Don't worry. So, Vinny, you eat trash?
I understand what you're saying.
What I mean is, I am more irked by frame rate drops,
Yeah.
like in the way that you guys probably are.
Yeah, no, we get what you're saying. You called them literal garbage. Yes.
There was definitely that one village, like the Cocorico village.
Both villages are terrible.
they're
about
pretty
that
bad.
Stuff. Like those. I mean, most of the game is fine. Like 90% of the game is fine. But when it gets bad, it gets
real bad. But like I thought it was going to be like a slideshow for most of the thing, or like how is this supposed to run on a Switch and on this old piece of hardware and be comparable? And like I think it looks comparable. Like I don't think
it's pretty close.
In a way that I think like I take that split as like a negative on the Switch version in some ways. We're like,
Well, your
this
standards
looks pretty
are just-
similar. Well, I like good video games, so I don't like to just foist garbage into my eyeballs and ears.
I don't know, man. You
So-
like
Some
you
people
liked
do.
Hey Pikmin, so I'm not sure about that.
I thought that Hey Pikmin looked cool, and I thought it would be good on this list in case someone forgot it.
I'm surprised how divisive Zelda is. Like,
Yeah.
it's
And that's the thing. I'm very much in the
pretty
middle of all
great
this
game.
with that game. Like, I think it's cool. I think there's neat stuff in that game, but it didn't
too.
bowl me over.
How many
Yeah.
of us beat it? Okay.
And you,
Wow,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
I'm truly shocked by that.
I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I got to a
Wow.
point where I'm like,
Yeah.
we'll have that conversation
Yeah,
later.
yeah,
But
yeah. I hit a
think
wall.
I think the authored content in that game, in terms of just like the dungeons and the set progression stuff, sucks.
Wow. I was like, I didn't want it to end. I
No.
was happy to keep exploring the world forever.
Oh yeah. After the credits, I went back and did every shrine.
No, I mean, I didn't do that, but
I mean, so I know like they let us down with the most recent Zeldas and stuff, but still, like, it's Nintendo, it's Zelda, it's a big debut on a new console. There's still got to be like part of you going into that game that was like, this
They'll
might
figure
be
it out.
good.
Yeah.
The last time they debuted a console with a Zelda, it was Twilight Princess.
Hey, that game's fine. It's a really good game.
it's fun.
Actually, it's a really good game.
Nah.
Yeah,
See what I mean?
I agree.
Eh.
I think we keep it on a list for now.
All right.
yeah, I think we got. I think maybe people won't agree with me, but I do think there was a lot of hype around Hellblade when it was coming out. Like that game for me, I feel like I heard about it so much.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when it was just coming out. It was like we finally heard about it like a week beforehand,
Yeah, I
and
thought- I
we
felt like
still
it-
thought it was like a character action game.
Yeah, I thought
okay.
I felt like it snuck up on us.
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Well, I
Perhaps-
think there was like the initial, was it E3 where they did like a little teaser for it?
No,
Yeah.
they first showed it like years ago,
Yeah, years
and then
ago.
it was a few months before it came out. Game Informer did a cover story, and that was the first like, oh, that game's still around, and here's a bunch of information about
So I
it.
think there was the initial thing, and like I feel like I had no idea what it was. I thought it was going to be another just like slash, like
Okay.
character action
That's
game.
fair.
I kind of had no idea even after it was out what it was.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. The big surprise for me is that studio has dealt purely in character action games.
Yeah, and they've done
This
really
is not
well
that
at
at all.
Yeah.
And also their last game was like this like snide satire, and this is like one of the most personal, like intimate stories I've ever seen in a game.
What was the snide satire? Is it DMC?
DMC.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, where the character action in Hellblade is almost like
It's not even
you
a
can almost
character,
cut it
really
out.
not a
Yeah.
character action game.
It's almost like could just be a series of QuickTime events or something and just be done. Like
I feel like that would have been a somewhat better game actually if they had scaled it back a little further.
it's a little rote, like you're just kind of waiting
Yeah.
for. But like aside from the quality, I think it was kind of surprising that like this thing tried to tackle something like that instead of just being like pop them up into the air and hit them with your sword.
Yeah.
And
that's
there's some
fair.
interesting stuff in there in terms of just like they include like director commentary stuff.
There's
like
a making of
special
featurette
features, which
in
is
that
like
thing,
it's a neat
which is
thing.
amazing.
For a package at that level that's like coming in at this kind of like not full price.
That was the other thing
like,
about
oh,
it.
this is like a,
Yeah, I
a
guess that's
neat.
true.
like
It was
people
like a
people
cheaper-
are like trying to coin some new term around this game, like double A or whatever.
Yeah,
Like, I mean,
yeah.
like that's dumb,
Right.
But the sentiment has value.
Bless you.
Because it's a game that looks like a $60 product that came out at $30, and it's like 5-6 hours long.
Right, and then there are a lot of other developers I think that are coming at the double A, triple I, whatever
much
you want
was-
to call it.
How much was Lost Legacy?
40.
40.
And this was 30. And they, I mean, if we want to factor this in, they just put out sales numbers. Like they have gone past breaking even on it and are now making money like 3 months
On
after
Hellblade?
it came out. Like they surpassed their own forecasts for sales.
Neat, good on them. It's a neat thing.
like-
I didn't love it, but it it's definitely unexpected.
Guys, they made a good Sonic game.
Yep.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Sonic
they
Forces
did
was
not.
really
Yeah,
good.
they actually
Fucking
did not.
Christian
They brought
Whitehead
in,
made a
they
good
brought
Sonic.
in
Yeah.
some ringers. They brought in people that actually care about Sonic the Hedgehog and said, "Please make us a Sonic the Hedgehog
Which
game."
even bringing those people in is a surprise.
Yeah,
Right? Like,
yeah. It's a very
Yes.
there's an awareness there that
Yes.
you don't expect Sega to ever have, especially in a year where they also fucking put out Sonic Forces.
Yes.
Showing you that this is like lightning in a bottle, never going to happen again, or maybe it will.
they'll probably make a follow up.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to see how the sales go.
I heard Sonic Mania did fucking well.
Really?
Like
Awesome.
good. Like
And it probably
they were
wasn't
like
super
oh,
expensive to
no.
bring those people in.
The other thing I also heard is that they made it for $1.
So they made a Sonic game that everyone liked. Well, not everyone, but many people liked. Like, I liked it. I didn't even like Sonic 2, Sonic 3.
Oh,
Knuckles.
really?
Like, back in the day, no. I mean, I was a Nintendo kid, and I came to them late. And I was
I was the same way. Like every time, outside of the very first Sonic the Hedgehog, like every one of those games I tried after that, I was just like, whatever.
I knew Mario was better, but I still love 2, 3, and Knuckles.
Yeah.
As a teen, when Sonic the Hedgehog came out, I can tell you there was something to that. He tapped his foot.
Sure,
we all tapped our foot.
He was the voice of a generation.
Yeah, he was the voice of my generation. He's a lot like the Kurt Cobain that didn't end it early.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What's your OC in Forces?
But I didn't unlock anything, so I was just like bird.
I think Sonic Mania has to make this list.
Yeah, I
think
think you're probably right.
I think that people are talking and enjoying a Sonic game in 2017 is like, it's pretty surprising.
Like, it's the most simple thing. They finally did the thing.
And like more importantly, like they didn't just do the thing in this like super devoted. Like they did it from the perspective of like fans that want to do some fun new shit with Sonic.
And the twists they did, right, where it's like, the first level is like a recreation of something you like, and the second level is a really cool twist on something you like.
Fuck that second level. Holy shit.
It's like a chemical plant?
Fuck any water levels in Sonic. Like,
Jeff, I really wish you.
I mean, like what?
That was the big surprise. Well, sure. The big surprise for me about this game is that I fucking hate playing Sonic.
Also, they put Mean Bean Machine in there. As a
That
boss.
part was great.
Yeah,
I love that part.
I should add that to best.
Jeff, I really wish you hadn't
yes.
invoked Kurt Cobain there because next year is Sonic the Hedgehog's 27th birthday.
Oh no! He's gonna choke on his own vomit.
yeah.
Like, what about like Janis Joplin? We'll say it's the Janis Joplin.
That doesn't. No, we're no.
Oh, wait, what about the Jimi Hendrix?
No.
Okay, there we go.
All right, like maybe the Amy Winehouse.
Jim Morrison.
this is like really sad all of a sudden.
Yeah.
We're talking Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah,
that's inherently a sad conversation. Though there's a bright spot this year. That's weird. There hasn't been one ever. Since before the Dreamcast. Well, no, Sonic Colors. That was one thing where you're like, that game's okay. Mm-hmm. This game is better than okay.
Yeah.
I would put Sonic on this list.
I'll go to bat for RE7 because 6 was so bad, and after 4 being so good, it seemed like they just kept losing more and more of what made 4 so good.
Well, on top of that, 5 was even disappointing, still following in the footsteps of 4, and then like all the bad spin-offs they've done with that series since then too.
I mean, 4 was incredible, 5 was good, 6 was terrible, and then like to see them go back and say, okay, we're going to rethink this whole thing, and also it's going to be VR. It's just like, oh boy,
person.
Yeah, it's going to be first person
it's such
VR.
It's such a different thing.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if I trust these
It's funny
guys
because
anymore.
they talked so much about 6 coming out as like being like a reinvention of like the zombies are back, the horror is back in the run up to the release of 6. And that game is not that.
It's
maybe they meant the horrible is back. Because
they meant well. I can say that much, but
to go from 6 to 7 is a major increase in quality, and like a total surprise.
So, I mean, they've breathed new life into the franchise at this point. Now they have a whole new direction they can go in.
Yeah,
with like a different take, a different like main storyline that's not necessarily tied to the characters
Umbrella
and story
and
of the other
everything.
stuff, and it's not like fucking like some shitty movie tie-in thing either.
No.
Like they've got this new potentially vibrant thing for Resident Evil. Like that's.
And I mean,
kind of crazy.
They will almost assuredly fuck that up at some point, as publishers inevitably do. But at least, if nothing else, we got this, and it was. I'm with you, Dan. It was incredibly surprising.
To add on to that, I mean, like they showed that game at E3, and it did not play well, or it did not show well. Like,
right,
people
we
were coming out of it going like, "Hey, I'm getting really sick playing this game in VR."
Yeah.
Also, it doesn't seem very good. Like everything about this seems like a no go.
Yeah.
And then it came out, and they buttoned it up.
and even the VR stuff was good.
And that's kind of a surprise. Like, that it worked pretty well in VR.
Totally. It's the
Seems
best
like
VR
the
experience
definitive
I've
way
had.
to play that game.
It scared the hell out of me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very scary.
It was a huge departure for them. It was a pretty big risk because they really backed it. You know, this wasn't just like something like Umbrella Corps or whatever that they had just tossed out not too long beforehand.
Oh man!
But like they pulled this off.
It's a top 3 RE game for me.
Yeah.
I honestly kind of fell off of it after the whole main first house part where you go and have to fight the flies.
Right, you go to the mom.
And then, you got to like pick up
all
the
that.
gasoline canisters and hit the like fly nests and stuff.
It's not a flawless game by any stretch, but I think it is so much better than what Resident Evil has been for years.
The thing I would also say is, as someone who does not like Resident Evil, I still don't.
Right.
Like this is a very different game, and I think that they've achieved something. Like I can view it that way, but like personally, zero interest.
I like RE. I was never like obsessed with it, but like I knew there were always different endings and things you'd unlock. But I never really played. I played 4 a few times, but this was the first time I beat the game, and I instantly started another one because there's a decision you make like 3/4 of the way through, and I was like, I just want to play that game again. I played through the whole thing again. I was really, really impressed by that game.
In not to add more to this list, and we definitely maybe actually shouldn't write this one down, but since we're talking about horror games that suddenly took a turn for the good this year, maybe we should also consider Evil Within 2, because boy, that first game was a fucking mess.
Yeah, it's surprising that it's better.
It is, and it's considerably better.
It is. I didn't play the first one, but from what I've heard of people talking about it, it seems a lot better than the first one. Them making it like more of an open world. Just a lot of the visual stuff they do. I think Sebastian's character is like pretty well fleshed out, but there's still a lot in that game I don't like.
And there's probably too much on this list for it to actually qualify in the end, but I felt like a shout out was at least worth having there.
No, it definitely deserves a little bit of like if you like Resident Evil 4, you should play the Evil Within 2.
This is a brutal category.
PUBG should be on this list.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's an out of nowhere thing.
Is this list then Battlegrounds, Resident Evil, Sonic Mania?
No. There's still much other stuff we need to talk about.
I mean, you were big on Starfox.
I am big on Starfox, but I think
I don't think I have no passion for Resident Evil 7.
Yeah, I think I would go more for Uncharted over Resident Evil 7. Like, I think Uncharted is truly surprising.
I think... Well, sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, that's, I said what I said before about it. So.
I think Naughty Dog making a good game, like a really good game, is less surprising than fucking Capcom making a good Resident Evil game right now.
But it was such like a tossed out thing.
Yeah.
Like it didn't get the same kind of clout that other games get when they're coming out. Like it didn't have the same kind of like weight to it.
Which
when it
game?
released.
Which game?
Uncharted: The Lost Legacy.
Okay.
I think that's honestly just more a failing of the Sony's marketing and Sony's ability to kind of get the awareness of that game out there than it is anything to do with
and
the expectations.
That's something they're routinely pretty bad at.
Yeah, it's way less marketing and more that it felt like they were squeezing blood from the Uncharted stone 2 games ago.
Yeah,
like
totally.
3 felt like enough Uncharted to me, and then they made a 4th one, and I was like, "Fucking really?" And then I
But
played
they were
it.
never like bad.
No, but they felt superfluous. Like,
I think
4 did not need to exist. Like nobody would have complained if they had never made another Uncharted after 3.
But that's the thing, is that 4 did not need to exist, but in the way that it did exist, it actually justified itself in a way that was actually really good, and I don't think there was any reason to believe that anything that spawned out of that would necessarily be bad.
Like when you tell me we're making a new game, but it used to be DLC, also it stars a side character, also it's different people making it, here you go.
I think there was like a 0% chance that game was going to be garbage, though, whereas with Resident Evil 7, there was a non-0% chance.
But that, like, I never thought it was going to be garbage, I just didn't think it was going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And it's better.
I still think the gap is wider with
I think it's
Resident Evil.
substantially better in multiple meaningful ways than Uncharted 4.
Yeah.
Okay, we might be getting ahead of ourselves, though, because there are games on this list we haven't even talked about yet.
Nier is a weird one on this list. It was hugely surprising for me, but then this like wall of buzz hit, and it became weirder for everyone else playing.
I will say it's weird that they decided to make a sequel to Nier.
Yes,
it's weird that a game that is a follow-up to Nier and the Drakengard series is good. It's also weird how good it is.
Yeah.
Even Yoko Taro would admit that is a weird
pretty
thing
surprising
that this happened.
to the creators of Nier how popular Nier has turned out to be.
There were so many reasons not to care or believe in that game, and for it to have turned out the way it did, and for Square Enix to put the amount of resources behind it that they did and get Platinum on board and do all that shit is fucking crazy.
The thing I'll say, though, is at the first announcement of that game, I was more or less on board with at least giving it a look.
Yeah,
that initial trailer, I was like, okay,
to it and,
all right,
yeah.
The 9th Platinum game we've announced this E3. Let's
You know what? Actually, if anything, like I felt a little let down by the Platinum Association because I kind of expected better.
The gameplay ends up being the weak link
on the gameplay end,
which
I
is not what you expect.
I expected more from them.
I think we can. I think it's not as. I think like in a vacuum it would be more surprising than a lot of these games, but I don't. think
the things I would say about Nier at this point are more about moments in Nier than about the surprise of its.
And I think that I think I'm willing to let it go from this particular list, but I will say that the thing that was surprising to me was just how good it actually was. But I think anyone who has been actually paying attention to Yoko Taro games and sort of like the themes that he explores and what he does, like this is very much in keeping with the type of stuff he did. just with a much better pedigree of game behind it.
Yeah. Yes.
I think Sexy Brutale can go, though it is
it is a cool, surprising thing.
Cool thing that kind of came out of nowhere that has some pretty good mechanics.
Yeah.
Good package,
Yeah.
good presentation.
You can probably get rid of Dream Daddy. I love it. I think it's what
You can
you
get
think
rid
Dream
of.
Daddy should say. You want to fight for Dream Daddy?
I mean,
I love Dream Daddy.
I think the surprise for me is like I usually don't get into like visual novel
Me either.
style games, and like I just like it was a game that once I started playing, like I had avoided playing until like you were just like just play it, and then I played it and like I really liked it.
It's really good.
It's really good. It's like very
Yeah.
charming, very funny, and like very feel good. It doesn't really get away from like visual novel roots. So like,
right. I think it gets more like gamey, or even more like a little more like an adventure game or something when it gets to sort of the dad book.
Yeah,
Like, 'cause then it feels like more weight to the choices you make.
there are
in the
definitely like
conversation,
you definitely have some more
and some
agency.
gamey or points.
But like I didn't care. Like I didn't care that it was just like kind of like making kind of some superfluous choices or anything. Like it carried itself.
Yeah,
and like
totally,
and,
absolutely.
So I don't know. For me, it was like I was surprised that I enjoyed it way more than I did, and also surprised that it was a game that lets you make choices that never went like horribly negative. Like it didn't make you have to choose the bad choice or the good choice. Like all the choices you were making were all still pretty good and believable. It wasn't just like, Paragon or Renegade like most games make you be.
Kick a dad out a
Right.
window.
Yeah, kick it out a window. And like that was like a very feel good thing for me this year, of like a game that you can come away with and be like, oh, here's this like
it's just super
oddly
pleasant.
utopian
It's so
society
nice.
where like
Yeah.
everybody's supportive of
Yeah.
I
everybody.
also think
and
like I don't like dating sims, and going into this, I was like, a dating sim, I don't know, and like especially
Yes.
one that's like about like a gay dads loving each other. It's like it feels a little bit clickbaity. It feels
Yeah,
a
it has
bit,
potential to be like, oh, it's very internet-y. It's
Exactly.
just trying to cash in on trends, but it feels very earnest.
It does. It feels super earnest. It feels really. It has a lot of heart to it. I think it's a very good game,
Yeah.
and I really like it. But
What makes it better than something like what's that pigeon dating game that Danny, the hot dog boyfriend?
Well, I
Or
mean,
just
that-
kind of a silly dating game, like lighthearted.
So this is I don't think this is like it never reflects back on itself and is like we're like a game about dads dating. It's never
right?
I
addresses
think
it.
it's primarily a game about a single dad and his daughter more than anything, and
or
it's a
the
lot,
daughter really like,
right?
kind of
Yes, and
like
it's a
a
lot
coming of
about
age.
emotional companionship and like getting to know these other dads and sort of like bridging a gap between like different types of people, more so than just like here are a bunch of hunks making out. Like if you
Right.
say the right things, then you can bone a dude.
Or get their shirt off.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
It's like actually I think about like kind of finding this weird hidden depth within each person
Yes.
that is like, oh, like on the surface this is what all these people look like and their caricatures, but like dig in a bit. But
Exactly.
it was a big surprise for me. But I think if folks, it didn't go past.
I'm in a similar boat as you. I don't ever really get into dating visual novel games other than like Phoenix Wright, if you want to call that one, which is like borderline.
Yeah, I think that's borderline.
But I enjoyed it. I was surprised by how I enjoyed it, but nothing it did seemed super surprising other than like it's just really solid. It's
really
just got
solid.
really good writing and like, it's delightful, but it's not like revolutionary.
Right.
It's just solid.
Definitely not revolutionary.
I think it's absolutely surprising how accessible it is, how fun it is, and how kind of deep it is in the story, and that it doesn't feel like a shallow game. I mean, I guess if we're comparing it to all these other surprises, maybe not. But I think it's surprising in its own way. I think it deserves a mention.
Yeah,
but I don't know if it's in the top 3.
I think it's also something that like I was surprised I would find myself so easily recommending to people.
Yeah,
To be like,
it's-
you should just try this out.
It's really good.
But it'd be sad it goes, but
Yeah.
about my
The
taste.
finger is hovering.
You
Should I do it?
You know about my standards.
Can we?
I mean, we can come back to it.
Can we also bounce local host?
Yeah, I think I'm the only one who played
we
it.
can
I
also-
really like local host. I think.
This is not the day. Let's move on.
We can also
I-
bounce Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Well, I just think local host is good. I think it deserves its props. I think it is surprising that like a $5 itch.io game is like very good.
Yeah,
Not that
that
itch.io
looks
is
cool.
bad, but
when
like it's super good.
Yeah,
I think people should play
when I
it.
pulled it up after you mentioned it.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Maybe
put
wanna check
something.
it out.
I'm going to put something on the list and then take it immediately off. Assassin's Creed Origins was actually pretty surprising in a lot of ways.
I think somebody just won bingo.
Yeah.
I think.
That's fine. That's
We
the
can't
one.
acknowledge it, or otherwise everything breaks down, Vinny.
I mean, there is the argument that series was adrift and
Yes.
took the time, and that could have gone bad as it did with another game that also took a year off.
Yes.
But
But they totally delivered on a very solid game that I've been enjoying a lot. But it is not top 3 most surprising. It just I felt it needed to be mentioned.
I agree. Bounce Million Onion Hotel. This game, people should not sleep on it. I really, really think it's the most fun I've had with an iPhone game in a long time.
It's real wild.
It like goes places in a not like Frog Fractions, but I get a similar vibe of like discovering how the game works. Like what I've been playing it for 2 weeks, and I still am like finding new surprises in it. It has a really weird story. I don't know. It's very
It's a puzzle
surprising.
game with a story. Yeah, it's
It's all about discovering how the game works, and it constantly figures out ways of how to surprise you with its very simple mechanics.
It's neat.
oh, it's cool.
This does look cool.
It does look cool, yeah.
And it's nice because it's like $2.99. There's 0 microtransactions. In
Oh, okay. Would you compare it to like a you must build a boat type of thing?
it. Yeah.
No, not like
That one
it's
didn't have
not
a whole lot
match
of story
3 per se.
Right. Okay. I'm just seeing the screens and it
Yeah.
seems all over the place.
Yeah.
But I'm
yes,
interested
it
for
is-
sure.
it
It's got really funny writing too.
Okay. I'm gonna check
It's
this out.
weird.
All right.
I think we could probably cut My Brother Ate My Pudding. I think there's a moment in that game that is very surprising, but as a sequel to
Is it the same people as
yeah,
Hidden
it
My
is.
Game by Mom?
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
It is
The
so,
third-
and it is very similar to those games.
Yes. I was
oh,
surprised that they were able to, bring Sister to the,
Oh, wow.
to the
Yeah,
forefront.
it
as
is
a
really that
character.
game.
Is it the same character?
It's literally, no, you're playing a
you play as the
sister.
sister this time.
But I mean, it's the
brother
same
is the
world, it's the same
antagonist.
family. Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh,
from-
the brother
from the
that you
original
played
game.
as.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
goodness.
wonder how
fun.
popular those games are.
And level 20 is very surprising. It
Yeah.
goes places.
There's a good
Really?
that's a moment.
Yeah.
less about
but
the
yeah,
game than
it can go.
Those games are weird.
Yeah,
delightful.
delightful,
Yeah, yeah.
weird, surprising.
I really liked Mortician's Tale. I was really surprised by it. That game like stuck with me more than I thought it would. Like it made me think differently about death, which I think is pretty neat. I think it could maybe be dropped just because there were some other problems with the game, or it maybe wasn't so fleshed out in certain parts. But I do think it's very good, and I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it.
Is Subsurface Circular any good? Because that game is the
Yes.
literal definition of a surprise in that I'm pretty sure they announced and released it at the same time.
Yeah, it
I
just
thought
kinda
I
dropped.
really liked it.
I saw Mike Bithell on Twitter just be like, "Hey, we made a new game. Here it is.
Right.
You can buy it."
I liked it. I think it has a really cool aesthetic. I think the story is really good. I think it has a very good ending, a difficult choice. I think it's really good. I was surprised by it.
I think it has a super cool look too. Like
Yeah,
the
I think it
look
looks
alone
awesome.
has made me want to check it out.
Yes. I really liked it a lot.
That
I
said,
liked,
Mike Bithell makes good games.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It was more just the announce and release.
Yeah, the
at same-
timing,
at the
yeah.
same time thing.
I think it would be fine to be dropped considering some of these other ones are maybe more surprising, but I do think it was surprising. I think it's a very good game.
That's cool.
And I really enjoyed it.
What about Fire Pro Wrestling World? Like, what is the
How is that
state, what
eligible?
is the state of that?
Look, here's the thing. So here's my pitch for this. This is the one category where I think no matter what, early access is meaningless because the inherent surprise has to be attached to when the game comes out or when it appears. Like if we were to talk about this next year, it wouldn't be surprising because it would be in early access for over a year, and and everyone can follow along and see what that game is the whole way through. The surprising thing with Fire Pro Wrestling World is they took a moribund franchise that had not existed since 2005 and brought it back. And it is the first good wrestling game in maybe like 6 years.
It's a good argument.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I mean, if we're letting that be eligible, then don't we have to make like Dead Cells?
I don't have a problem with Dead Cells being eligible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dead Cells is really good.
And
This is a weird thing to do midstream.
I think it opens a really
that's not.
it
confuses things, I think.
I don't think it does because it is surprising that they brought that game back from the dead all out of nowhere.
I was on board with considering early access stuff this year, but we should have declared that at the top of this whole thing. Because we've skipped over games in other categories already.
Yeah.
This is the only category where I think it actually matters. Like where the timing of its existence and like where it appears actually matters.
So like if you were to call it the announcement of Fire Pro Wrestling World or something.
And the launch of it. Like, and that's the thing is it's not just that it came to early access. Is that the game that they put out even at the beginning of early access felt like a pretty full-featured version of that game that worked well. And on top of that, the community for that game has blown up in a way that honestly I think even they didn't expect.
So is your argument basically that like the fact that this game exists after being gone for so long is surprising? Because like I feel like we've got that with Starfox, but to a more dramatic degree. I mean, if the surprise thing is that like holy shit, this actually came out.
It actually came out. They are actually doing it well. Like they're doing a good campaign with that game, and also the community for that game has not only like supplemented the content in the way that they had sort of intended. Like it has blown up way bigger than I think they would have ever expected.
I don't disagree with it being surprising and being a cool game and everything. I just don't know.
I feel like we should have had this conversation on the podcast earlier this week.
Oh, I thought we did. I thought we did.
And put it to bed.
I thought where we landed was PUBG's coming out, or they say it is, so that'll be in probably.
And we start January 1st.
I feel like this is stuff we should have brought up then if we were going to do this. Like I don't think we can do this.
I think for best surprise, like I don't think that the qualification of release date actually matters at all. It really doesn't. As long as you can buy the product and it is out there, like it is. The surprise is inherently tied to when the thing appears.
Have we ever had a news story in Best Surprise? I can't remember.
No, it's always games.
Is it always a best surprise for a game?
And it's not just the news story. Like it is the game itself. Like there's any number of ways they could have shortchanged that thing and they didn't.
Yeah, but I think that just for semantics, I'm thinking about like the release versus the.
Really may have to go to the Senate parliamentarian on this.
I'm not going to
point of procedure.
I'm not going to plant a flag on this one. I'm not going to have like a giant knockdown drag out about it. I feel strongly about it, and I wanted to make my case.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I don't want to have to spend a bunch of time right now debating the rules of this thing all over again when we had time to do that before. Like if we had that conversation then, I think we could have maybe thought about it. We can't do this midstream like this.
I think it's a good argument, but I kind of agree. Like I think it would have to open the doors for the rest of some of this stuff in a way that like I'm trying to rethink other things throughout the year that might be here.
The only other thing I can think of is Dead Cells, honestly. Like it, and I mean, I think that conversation isn't invalid. Like, Dead Cells was a surprising thing. It's, that is a game people are
Came
playing.
out of nowhere, and it's just really good. Mm-hmm. I think that's the kind of the story behind it, though. Like, that's it. Like, it doesn't have the history that, like, a Fire Pro Wrestling does.
Like, Fire Pro Wrestling is the first time I've been excited about the wrestling video game genre, arguably one of my favorite genres in years.
I feel like that surprise would carry over into its release next year, though. Like, I feel like everything you're saying is still valid in its actual year of release.
Yeah, because once we argue for something being a surprise, we take its entire history into account.
Yeah.
From announced to,
I just don't think anyone's going to be surprised that Fire Pro Wrestling came around and was good after a full year of early access and people tracking that, the progress of that game the way they have been.
I mean, we're not going to forget the history or what you're saying here. Like, it's all going to be taken into account, I would imagine.
I see what Alex is saying, though, of like, within this year, this is surprising. And like, if we make it the best surprise of 2018, it's really the best surprise of 2017.
But ultimately, like, the surprise
here,
this year has to be the news that they put it out.
Yeah,
and that's
right. So that's kind of the only way.
Half the games we've talked about here, we've gone back to like a year, 2 years to when they were announced and said, "Hey, this was going on with the developer," or "This previous game Zelda 5 years ago was bad." Like, like the full breadth of the history is always taken into account.
I'm just saying the product's out there. Like, it's out there. People are playing. I've played that game more than I played most games that were 1.0 this year.
Yeah. I mean, we're in agreement that the early access stuff has to go. But again, this is stuff we could have talked about before we started all this. But that conversation ended with us saying early access wasn't eligible. Like, we could have continued that conversation, but we didn't. So I like opening this up now. I feel like we can't. I can't dig into this right now. After we've had 6 categories go by without this being taken into account, like we can't do this now.
I mean, that my point was not that this needs to be done in every category. It was this one in particular.
Well, I think changing the rule for one category.
It's at some point, because then it's like, well, this music came out this year and it's not likely to change. Like, like we could go down the list on a lot of this stuff and find ways to shoehorn early access stuff into this. I just don't think we're past that point now.
Yeah, I would say like if we'd have to think of like a biggest news or something like that in order for it to fit in, or to just kind of have rethought it. So that, like we can give other games a chance to do it. Like, I mean, you mentioned just Dead Cells, but I just haven't thought about it.
I think about Dead Cells.
Yeah, like this
yeah,
but
like
like Jeff said, like this immediately makes me second guess every category
right. Yeah.
so far and think like, did we exclude games that could have rated there? Because
I mean, I guess for me, it's just like I don't think that has to be the case at all. Like I don't think. You know, we talked about the arbitrary nature of this category at the very beginning. We talked about how, like, this is all, you know, the definition of surprise is maybe the most arbitrary thing we do here. So I'm just saying, like, in that regard, I think Fire Pro Wrestling is definitely one of the most surprising things that came out this year. Because it did come out this year.
I guess I would say two things. One, I don't think we can do this. Two, even if we did, I don't think it's top 3.
That's where I kind of am. I would lean towards having it on the list, but I don't think it makes the top 3.
See, I'm fine with that if no one else has the passion for it. Like that's totally okay.
If I put the time into it, and I think I'm just as surprised, like that it exists and in this form. You know, but I've been waiting for it to like actually come out.
Yeah.
Before I actually.
Yeah. Like, for me, it's like I'm impressed that they have finally had a tutorial in there that makes me able to get good at one of these games for a change. The workshop support is revolutionary. In a lot of other ways, it's that PS2 game.
Yeah, I mean, it is what Fire Pro
stuff,
is.
Yeah, with that workshop stuff bolted onto it, you know, and that's cool. But like I said, I just I can't do this because I've been staring at lists of released games and not taking into account all the other early access stuff. Yeah. And there's so much of it that we would be giving short shrift to a ton of other games. And
again, I'm just saying that like if the answer is we're not putting this on there because we as a team don't think it's one of the top 3 surprises this year, I'm totally fine with that. I don't want to like attribute this to like a clerical issue.
The thing is, though, is we can't say that we're doing that because that's inherently saying that we're allowing early access and we're not.
All right,
because again, we had.
All right.
I also
we should have continued to have that conversation if you felt this way.
Why don't we put a pin in it and discuss it 1 year from today?
That sounds great. All right, that sounds great.
Did you guys know you can ride a fucking Rathalos in Monster Hunter Stories? You can keep it as a pet if you wanted to. You hatch it from an egg. You go in, or you can buy the damn amiibo and put it on your 3DS, and then all of a sudden you got a Rathalos in your game that you can ride.
Wait, did you say a rideable thing hatches from an egg?
Yes.
Did they really make a Rathalos amiibo?
Okay, can it eat its own shoes?
I imported it. It's really good. They have 2 different versions of it.
You got that amiibo?
I got.
You have an amiibo that I don't have?
Yeah, I've got a bunch of
is it
those.
Japan
actually.
only?
Yeah.
Are you willing?
I
to
don't
import
think they're bringing
amiibos?
them to the States.
Yeah, I'll import them.
Does that count?
I just don't want Monster Hunter.
If
I just don't want to buy them.
If it never comes out in the U.S., does it?
It counts for me.
Buy them for your
I'm
wife.
sure your wife would really love them. See?
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you scam the system.
All right.
I didn't even know Monster Hunter Stories existed. So so far, biggest surprise.
How surprised are you?
I know.
Huge surprise. I am actually genuinely like really surprised that they made a spin-off to Monster Hunter that was really good.
And like you were saying, you said there was a TV show associated that was whack, and so like having that there is another step in the surprise of like.
Well, I mean, I guess the TV show was based off of the game first, but you know, from what I've experienced of the show, it's not great.
And you're our proxy for this.
Yeah,
this as a surprise.
I'm trying to. Yeah, it's hard, but you know, I don't know. Genuine surprise to me. Game's pretty rad. Hey, they made a good Monster Hunter game that isn't Monster Hunter.
Wait, somebody just added something.
What do you?
What the hell?
It's not.
Oh.
What?
That's not a game.
What? It's Injustice 2.
I mean,
Also, you can't put a star next to that automatically. Can't do that.
It's on the list.
He's Howard in Tekken. Oh, wait, what about Akuma in Tekken? That was a pretty good surprise.
This is the Path of Madness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whoa.
All right, The Mummy Demastered.
We should talk about The Mummy Demastered.
Is it surprise enough?
Yo, it's a movie game.
I know.
It's a movie game.
It's based on the Tom Cruise
We'll get to that.
movie.
Dude,
There's so many layers to
They
this.
don't make movie games anymore.
Yeah.
They don't.
They make movie mobile games at
And
best.
it's based on
I know.
that garbage Mummy movie that came out a few months ago.
It's got a pretty good soundtrack.
Like soundtrack is better than pretty good. We'll get to that soon.
Is it so?
And it's a really well made Metroidvania. Also, it has the most amazing pixel art Russell Crowe in it that you could possibly imagine.
Okay, no,
Like, this looks really good.
The only aspect of this that isn't surprising is that WayForward made a good game.
Yeah.
But just every other external factor
I
in
think
it.
WayForward
They've done some really good stuff.
Mostly good. I think they.
I mean,
can be a
I'm
little-
not saying they haven't made bad games.
They can be a little hit and miss.
Yeah.
Like they're not. It was not guaranteed that it was going to be great. But God damn it, I need to find this Russell Crowe.
Is this on Switch?
Yes.
It is absolutely nuts that this
It's
thing
on-
turned out as
Wow,
well as
I
it
might
did.
need to get this for the
It's
Switch.
on
Yeah.
Switch, Steam, PS4, Xbox, everything.
How much is that guy?
It's 15 or maybe 20.
I think it's 20.
And I just want to just double emphasize that Mummy movie is fucking putrid.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I watched it on an airplane. It is one of the worst movies I've seen in years.
Oh my God.
It is the only movie that came out in that fucking dark universe, and
Yeah.
they have now killed that thing.
Yeah.
Like they are not
Wait,
doing.
really?
They are not doing their cinematic monster
Oh,
universe.
wow.
They're not?
Yeah, like
Just
that's the-
because of how bad that was?
That's the only movie that actually made it out.
Wait, there's a whole
That's news to me. Oh
there's
my
like a
God.
whole plan for.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Russell Crowe is Dr. Hyde.
Yeah,
like
Universal
the
was
Wolfman.
totally going to build a Marvel
Oh my
cinematic
God.
universe for
And-
monsters.
To be fair, this was their second or third attempt at making a first movie in that series
Yeah,
because
I guess
Dracula Untold
was sort of the soft launch of that
Yeah.
thing. Sure.
Oh, I
But,
think I found your Russell Crowe.
Let me see.
Is
It's a real good hair
that
part.
Russell Crowe?
That's him.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty good.
Wait,
You have
can
to
I
zoom
see?
in.
Yeah. So wait, is this not related at all to like the other Mummy movies?
Oh, wow.
No.
It's a re.
Oh boy.
They're reimagining.
So it's what's her name? Sophia Boutella.
Yes.
Is the mummy or is she some kind
She's
of
the
Egyptian
mummy
goddess?
She is the mummy.
But I
I
guess
kinda like those
But I
other
guess
Mummy
Tom
movies.
Cruise
Yeah.
becomes the mummy at the end of the movie.
All I know about the Mummy was that there was a great trailer where they failed to put in any of the sound effects, and it was just Tom
yes.
Cruise screaming over and over again.
Also, so you're like a faceless commando in a combat suit, and the first level set in Iraq
Because it's a prequel, right?
randomly. But then, so because you're not like a named character, every time you die, the Lady Mummy Goddess possesses your corpse and animates it, and then you actually respawn as a different soldier who is sent in, and you have to go fight that reanimated corpse of your previous self
to get your guns
to get your shit back. Like you have some of your stuff, but you have to go kill your old
That's pretty fun.
old undead self to get your other stuff. Like
That's pretty good.
It's a really cool game for how bad it should be, or for the fact that it shouldn't exist at all. Because who makes licensed games?
I mean, all this stuff goes to phones now.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, licensed.
I was
stuff
looking
like
at
this.
WayForward's most recent, like they made a Goosebumps game.
Ooh.
They
kinda recently, didn't they?
Ninja Turtles, a Scooby Doo game. Yeah, like they made some licensed games for real consoles.
Like the last cool thing I know of they did is that last Shantae game from
Yeah.
like
Oh,
a
yeah.
year ago.
Yeah.
but then this,
But this kind of came out of nowhere, and I had just
I'm totally fine with this
it's
on the
it's
list.
like a
Yeah,
it's
me
I
like
haven't
a,
played it, but
This is very surprising.
it's a mix of like Metroid and Contra.
Right.
Metroid and Contra.
It's
But it's got that
completely
like
bonkers.
SNES look that I
Yeah, and it's
I love.
got really nice pixel art, and the like we will talk about the music.
All right.
Unless you want to hear some of it now to sway you.
No, we got time for that.
Put another star on the list.
I mean, weren't these all on the list? These aren't the top. How does this list
Yeah.
work?
Mummy,
Because I
Battleground
want Dream
Sonic.
Daddy on the list. I figured
I
it was
know.
already on the list.
Oh, I thought we cut.
I thought we
Dream
cut
I
Dream
thought
Daddy.
that this list was the list, and then we discuss. We're just whittling down to top three.
We are.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
the thing. Is that like
When is
if
this
We have too
starting?
many stars.
When
We
is
have
this
way too many
list?
stars.
The stars,
Okay, is
stars
the
were
list
stars
still
were
the top
just
three?
stars were
Yes.
just things that people were
Wait.
digging their heels in.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is still the top
Okay.
three. It's just that we are doing a
I don't
bad
understand
job
how
of
this
paring
works.
this down.
Okay, Metroid. I didn't feel like there was
I don't know
enough.
the Metroid is going to.
I don't know if it hangs, but it's
Bingo.
Yep. It's very good.
I like. All right.
I just want to say my piece.
I like Battlegrounds
Yeah.
in here. I actually like Uncharted in here, which sounds okay. And then
Sonic.
and then
think
Mummy.
Sonic.
Would be Sonic.
I'm
And
putting
then
this-
Although I would do the Mummy over Sonic. I think.
I would do the Mummy and Sonic and Battlegrounds.
I'm
Maybe
putting-
we should just do our.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Maybe we do a non-binding. What are your three
Yeah.
from what we have right now?
Ooh,
So
yeah.
Jason, those are your three.
Yeah.
Okay.
So not Monster Hunter
wait.
then.
I mean, it should be on there. You guys haven't seen the
Brad, are you
trailer
gonna
that I
keep
posted in
track of
Slack. If you
this?
guys want to watch that and then weigh in, it may sway some people.
I don't know.
okay. So
that-
you said
That
Battlegrounds.
Rathalos hatches from the egg and he's adorable.
You said Battlegrounds and what else?
I said Battlegrounds. I said Uncharted and the Mummy.
Okay. I would lean Battlegrounds. I would lead the Mummy, and I would probably lean Sonic Mania.
I'm watching this one.
Wait, Is this a straight up vote?
No. It's a non-binding where people are at.
Wait, what did you say, Alex?
I said Mummy, I said Sonic, I said Battlegrounds.
I would definitely put Battlegrounds.
Wait, this is not scientific at all. I can't.
Oh, we wait.
I was trying
you're doing.
to tally. This is not going to happen.
Let's put initials next to it.
That's
Or
gonna
just
be-
take all the asterisks off
yeah.
and then restart.
Oh boy.
That's what. Yeah, I don't love doing votes for.
Well,
this stuff.
it's not a vote. I just wanted to kind of see where people's heads were
gauge
at,
the room.
and
But
maybe
this would be a good way to pare stuff down.
if there's a
and
game that
nothing
no
has
one
any
mentions,
stars.
yeah.
Jason's game looks adorable.
Doesn't it? It's
Look, and maybe you just put a star next to any game that gets a vote.
I mean, I feel like we could just intuit that, right? Like,
It sounds like nobody's super passionate.
Monster
about
Hunter,
Resident Evil.
Hellblade, Life is Strange are probably going to go.
That
What?
feels right.
Life is Strange, I think, is truly surprising. It looked bad. It looks bad, and it's so good. Like it's better than it has any right to be. Like everything, it should have been bad. All things considered, with the voice actor strike, with all the weird drama with like the publishing company and all
The fact
this
that
stuff.
the game should not exist.
And it's a follow up to Life is Strange, which was also
Exactly.
bad. So
Well, it's a prequel to a game that's all about this like magic power that
Wait,
this
hang on,
game does
let's-
not
yeah,
have.
it doesn't have the power.
Let's-
Yeah.
hang on.
And it's still so good.
Let's Wikipedia the ending, and then we can decide.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, there is no ending out yet. So.
I wish that first episode had done more for me.
I
Like
mean-
it made me not want to play it anymore.
I think the second episode is very good. I think that's a shame. I think that the second episode adds so much more weight to it. I think that there are real weighty choices and problems you have to make in the second episode, whereas the first episode is sort of setting up the stage for that next episode.
Are you comfortable going here, not knowing how this whole thing ends? Because
I
last episode's
played
not-
Life is Strange, so I
think
have
that's
some
fair.
idea
no,
of how
no,
it ends.
no, no, no. I
Or
mean, this
this
thing,
prequel.
right? Like, isn't there still one episode left to come
But
out?
Right,
I
but I
think
mean,
that's
it's
fair.
gonna end where Life is Strange
That's,
starts.
I think if
not,
you're like-
Yeah,
that's
I know
not
what you
relevant
mean,
to
but-
I think if
how
with-
they wrap this up.
If
is
with
what
the
matters.
episodes that have been released, it is still the most surprising thing. Like
Yes,
that, I think that's a fair
yes, and I'm
argument.
not saying it's the best game or the best story
Like, even if it-
because I don't know, but
Even if it ran it into the ground, it would still
yes,
be.
it's
you've
still
enjoyed your
surprising
time,
that this
right?
is so good.
Okay,
right
well,
now.
let's say that Zelda and Hellblade then at the very least feel like two that are not going to
It sounds
probably
like
make
Resident
it.
Evil.
And it sounds like Starfox is like people are not necessarily into Starfox.
I like your argument.
I actually,
I like your
from
argument,
a
too.
museum standpoint,
Yeah, I
like that
totally
idea
get
as well.
What
And
you're
some-
saying and like it, but
Something that's never happened before
Yeah.
like that. Like
Yeah.
I think that belongs.
I think
it's a really cool thing. I don't
God,
know
this-
that it ever really put a smile on my face.
It's a game
you know?
that everyone's
Yeah,
going to
it just-
boot up once.
it just keeps. Yeah, it breaks down for me because nobody actually wants
yeah,
to
I
play
think
it.
it's a surprise and like they did that,
Yeah.
but not in a surprise. It's like, wow, let me get on
like
this.
for me, it's probably biggest surprise.
Yeah.
But sure.
Yes.
I think it's important that it happened, and it's a huge surprise. But I don't even know if I would put it on my top 3 for this list at this point with some of the other arguments.
It's also
So,
weird that it's just on that classic, like that it didn't make it out on like a.
Well,
Kinda-
they don't
they
have
haven't
their
even
thing set up
They
yet.
haven't even done any classic games on the Switch yet. That's the arcade stuff, right? Does that even come out? yet?
That's not them though. That's Hamster.
That Hamster
Right.
stuff.
Your friends at Hamster making it happen.
I would be fine with cutting Zelda.
Yeah,
I think so.
That
I
doesn't.
feel like
that
I
doesn't
don't
really
have a lot
fit.
of support for that here.
And I still argue that Resident Evil belongs more than Uncharted because, again, Naughty Dog is known for making good games. Capcom, who the fuck knows? And lately it's been bad.
Especially in
The last Resident Evil.
Like modern
number one.
Capcom, even when you get away from just Resident Evil, like
It's kind of
You never really know what you're getting with
Oh.
them. And they just nailed it with that.
Yeah, I fully agree with you on that one, Dan.
Yeah, I think RE7 is a definite top 3.
man.
And PUBG. PUBG,
Wait,
Resident Evil.
I think we might have to do this.
Okay.
Go around the room.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's actually. But is Battlegrounds actually that big of a surprise?
Yes.
as
Dude, where the fuck did that come
a
from?
game from the guy who made multiple other games that are almost like this.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you had told me a year ago, hey, the guy who made that Arma mod is
Yeah.
doing another one of those, and it might be the game of the year, I would have been like, "Fuck you."
Remember,
I guess
remember we
the
talked about it,
reaction
like-
and how big
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
the surprise.
Like,
right?
we,
Is that
we
okay?
talked about it in like that production meeting of like, I guess we should check this out.
stupid
like,
looking
this
thing.
This thing in early access.
Like, I think like the art style is kind of off-putting
Yeah.
the first
Yeah.
time you see it. I was like, "Yeah, that looks janky. That looks like something for Arma players."
And I still even
Right, yeah, I just wanted to make sure we were at least like
Yeah.
thinking this through and not just
Yeah.
like rubber stamping
Like,
it on
no,
the
no,
list.
no.
When Vinny first showed me that we were going to do a quick look for that
Yes.
game, I was like, "Where did you find the Steam trash? What the
Right,
fuck
yeah,
are we
totally.
doing?" And then and like within an hour of watching him play, I was just like, I have to do this.
I
think even the name is very off-putting because who the fuck is that, and how do you say that? What is that branding?
It feels like a game that doesn't want you to play it.
Yeah,
right.
Yes.
And when Vinny first showed it to me, I thought it was going to be a joke. He look at this weird, stupid, Steam trash with the people in the plane and everything. I was like, this is dumb. And then
the plane's on fire.
Exactly. And everyone's talking at the same time. I was like, what is this trash?
It took me 3 or 4 matches of actually playing it before I even started to go wait, there's something here.
And I think if I had a personal best surprise, it is definitely booting it up and being like, what the fuck is going on? How come I can look at all these people in this plane? This is so dumb. And then I totally thought it was going to be trash, and then playing it and be like, I think this is kind of neat, and having to tell you guys that's I think there's something going on here. It's really okay.
Jason's having some fun with the list right now.
That Monster Hunter Stories game, I think I want to play now. It looks very cool.
I heard very good things.
So yeah, I think the one thing on here that I probably would want to get behind is Battlegrounds.
Okay.
I'm not sure throwing in on. I haven't played the Mummy Demastered, but I'm just so shocked that exists.
I know. I think that is truly. I think I haven't played it either. I want to play
and I
it.
like
it looks
that.
very good.
I want to see more of those weird, just ancillary, kind of related things to if you're
going to license movie games?
but not in a way that's trying to recreate. The movie.
It feels kind of like when Dark Void had that weird thing, Dark Void Zero, where it's what the fuck is this weird Metroidvania they made tied to Dark
or that
Void?
War of the Worlds game. Remember that?
I haven't played that now.
Same.
Oh, right.
Both those games are Other Ocean.
To me, it's the fact that it is a type of game that was so bad that they stopped making them. That literally does not exist anymore.
Yes, it is,
and yet they did it, and it's awesome.
Right. It's like the Predator game or Commando, the movie Commando game.
They didn't make a game off that.
Off of the end.
There's an NES game called Commando.
It's not based on Commando.
It is the prequel to Bionic Commando.
No,
it's not tied to
I thought there's a
Schwarzenegger.
side-scroller Commando game.
No, there's the top-down Commando where you play a Super Joe.
I thought there was an NES Commando side-scroller.
I don't think so.
No, I would definitely know. If there was a Commando movie, I would know.
There's 100% a Predator game, but I don't think there's
multiple Rambo games.
And there's a Total Recall game. There's a Lethal Weapon 3 game.
Yeah, there was a bunch of Rambo games.
How many people in this room legitimately thought to themselves at one point in time, they're never going to make a good Sonic game again? They're never going to make a good Sonic game.
Definitely. Absolutely.
I would think that
every day of
Sega
my
never
life.
would, but the idea of what if they let some fans or something do it?
You can't. Sure, yeah.
I could see that being a plausible thing.
I would dip into Sonic fan games here and there out of a morbid curiosity, and most of those were shit.
Yeah.
So even this, if you look at it that way, I feel like Sonic. Sonic has to be on this
Yeah,
list.
I agree.
Okay. I just think if Sonic Forces was awesome, that would be way more surprising.
But
everything
right,
I saw of this one, it's
sure, that would be
like they did
But
this
keep
right.
in mind that this is cold off the heels of Sonic 4, which was the last time they tried to make old Sonic again, and that
they
sucked
tried that so many
shit
times.
out of a dead dog's ass.
They did 2 of those.
But I think
The annals of video game history are littered with the corpses of failed Sonics.
Remember Sonic Unleashed? It looked like they were going back to the old style, and it's like, nope, werewolf.
Every single time they've said, "Oh, we're going
It's
back
like
to the
Twilight
old style."
Princess. It's exactly Twilight Princess. Remember, we're going back. We're finally making a good Zelda game. Oh no, wait, werewolf.
The only thing I get hung up on is it really that surprising knowing who was making it that it turned out good? Because those people had been making fan projects and that dude had built a Sonic engine by himself.
And that dude did the port of Sonic CD and stuff. Like
he
I
did
said,
Sonic CD.
I would check out fan games, and there was no reason to believe that a Sonic fan game was going to be any good either.
Yeah,
mean,
I
if
feel
you're
like
coming
on
at it from
paper,
that
any
angle.
fan
Yeah.
game, I'm like, that's gonna be shit.
And
And
like AM2R, it happened.
There's
I'm
no
surprised
reason.
that Sega
but I thought
hired
there's
those
no-
people.
yeah. There's no
That
reason-
is a huge surprise right there.
Yeah.
There's
That's-
absolutely no reason to believe that whoever was making that game, fan or otherwise, would not have been crushed under the weight of Sega's fucking complete malpractice with that series.
I guess the surprise is them allowing them to just do it the way you guys want to do it, and we'll see how it does.
there's also-
and then, it's great.
There's
Especially
definitely-
with Forces on the way too. That could have cannibalized their sales.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a surprise that Sega did not bungle it somehow.
I love that they were so close together. It's so stupid.
It's like one of the best and one of the worst Sonic
Yes,
games
it's like,
ever.
okay.
It's like we need you to see as clearly as possible how badly we don't understand what to do with this franchise.
I feel like we might need to do a rounder room because I feel like we're all saying more than 4 games a piece.
But I feel like we have. But also, it feels like that those 2 games have very strong support, and we're really just looking for a third, right?
I think Battlegrounds for sure.
Battlegrounds
And
and
Sonic.
Sonic.
So I don't know. Is the support for Sonic there?
I've
I
left
think
song
so.
on
I don't
Sonic.
even like Sonic, and
Yeah.
I think it's most surprising.
Yeah, Yeah, Sonic is a series that I would have never played again.
I don't want it personally, but there are too many people.
But, okay, so are people okay with Sonic if those 2 games stay on the list and we have to cut a third game here?
Yes.
Because that's what I think it's going to come down to.
Totally.
Or is somebody going to be willing
on Sonic? Is there who else here does not feel Sonic here?
I don't.
I don't really feel Sonic here.
Okay, well that's actually
like
half the room.
I'm good with Sonic, but I'm also good with then like the Mummy Demastered.
I'll be honest. I was going to give up Sonic so I could get Mummy.
I will say, I think I would lean more towards the Mummy than I would Sonic.
I would lean Sonic over Mummy.
Why
not both?
Why not Sonic and Mummy?
I think that probably is the list though. Is those 3?
No, I
Yeah.
think Mummy, Starfox, and Resident Evil are all more surprising than Sonic.
No, I see. That's where I do disagree with you, Dan, because Resident Evil is an incredibly surprising thing, and I think it's like 4 or 5 on this list.
Boy, it's
but
number
the
2 for me.
The history of Sonic is so much more fucking morbid.
I honestly think Sonic wins this category.
I have a question about the Sonic game. It's not just like a straight port. I did not get very far because I do not understand Sonic. But
it's brand new. Like they
all of it?
parts of it are homage to original Sonic.
But I figured all the levels were ported.
No.
Okay, then yes, I think it's
they are references to old Sonic levels in some cases and music and stuff like that. But then they flip it in fun ways.
The assets are the same, if not similar.
Right.
Also, here's the thing about Star Fox. Like that game we've known has kind of been like 95% complete, or like it's been like. It's surprising that they put it out, but like it's just kind of been
is the surprising
sitting
part.
on a shelf.
Yeah.
Would anyone have guessed that would
Nintendo did it at all, or thought to do it, or even still had it? That's the surprising part. The game itself is less so, I guess. Ultimately,
which that part is very surprising. But I think in like the overall, like if we're considering all aspects,
I would probably cut Starfox honestly. But I do think if this category was biggest surprise, Star Fox 2 would probably win it.
Right, but it's best.
Okay,
I still think so.
I
understand
agree
that.
with that.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay,
so I don't think that it stays here.
Okay.
All right, so are we going to make the list? Star Fox 2, PlayerUnknown, and the Mummy?
Wait,
no, not Star Fox.
So, I'm sorry, Sonic.
I think RE has to be on there.
I don't support RE compared to those other 3.
I agree.
Right. And like I loved Resident Evil. What I played of it a lot more than I thought. But I also think it still kind of feels like a Resident Evil game, which is like good or bad. And I know a lot of them have been bad, but like if that's not really your jam, I don't know. I don't think it's as like big of an impact as something like Sonic Mania, which like really seemed to take over everyone.
I don't know. Did you play RE6?
Yeah. The thing is, Sonic Mania is a nostalgia thing at its core. It looks and plays like old Sonic. That's why everyone likes it. So it's like, oh, they made a thing that's like
it's
the
better
old
than
one.
Old Sonic.
Actually, I do agree.
Yeah.
I do agree. But it feels like it. I mean, it is.
I was
The
going
DNA is
back.
there,
I was
for
going
sure.
back to old Sonic games like a little bit before that game came out, and realizing like, oh, all the Sonic games are bad. I've been wrong. Like none of them have ever been.
That's
good.
where I'm at, though.
Yeah,
I fucking
but-
hate playing
but
Sonic Mania. So fuck-
I know, me too.
Right. But they were going off the template of how those games looked and felt. Whereas RE7 didn't just go back to like, hey, remember the PlayStation? Resident Evil 1 and 2 were pretty good. We're just going to do that again. It's a totally new
like
perspective,
they made
totally
a
new
first-person
story.
like Resident Evil game.
And it fucking works. And the VR part's great. Like that was
VR part
way
is
more
very
surprising.
Maybe I'm a fool and maybe I love Capcom too much, but I believed them in making another good Resident Evil game. I was like, I believe
you're a fool.
I'm coming around on this Capcom argument as I think about what Capcom has been up to for the last like 5 years.
I think you were grossly discounting how much Sega is maybe in a very similar place with a lot of their stuff.
I mean, I think that list is Sonic and Resident Evil and Battlegrounds.
I'd be fine with that.
I think we
way.
lose the Mummy at that point.
I think
the
dropping
Mummy is the most
insane.
out of left field thing
Yeah.
that could have come out this year.
I just like, is that game really that great?
It's awesome.
Isn't it kind of
It's
short?
really cool.
What I played of it was pretty damn good.
GameSpot gave it a 6.
Really?
Well then.
Wow.
But said it is better than the movie.
Oh well.
Yeah, but
Well,
again,
I had
I guess, okay,
abscesses that were better than that movie.
Let's trim this down then, because it seems like we are circling around a few games here, and it sounds like that is not Monster Hunter, Hellblade, Uncharted, or Life is Strange.
yes.
yeah,
I agree.
I think
I
It sounds like
that's
those
fair.
four
This list
are
that we
cut all
are
those.
going.
are
I'm
not
very
going to make
sad
it.
to lose Uncharted and Life is Strange. I think they were both very surprising. But I think in the context of like what is truly the biggest splash of this year, I can deal with that.
Fair.
I think the Mummy Demastered, like even if regardless of its overall quality, whether it's great or good, is just such a weird surprise and
Yeah.
such a good thing to see. I don't think it has to be the best game or the greatest game. I think that for me over.
But it is quite good.
Yeah,
Like on top of everything else,
it's
it's really
it
good.
plays well.
Also,
It's
like I can't
neat.
stress this enough. The music is like a
Soundtrack.
serious contender for the next category.
and I think that's just super neat. And like the Mummy Demaster, like it's just one of those
Yeah,
things
like
of just
what?
like
who made that business deal?
Who had an
Yeah.
extra couple of bucks
Who
that was
negotiated that contract?
Right. I mean, that's amazing and great. Or
Maybe the Dark Universe will just be revived as a series of Metroidvanias.
Okay.
Like, it would be cool if they were all as
Like,
good
what
as
is
this. I
that
would-
story?
Wolfman, Metroidvania. would be
was it
pretty
like a
cool.
thing of
Oh,
opportunity?
Dracula. They could do a Dracula.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, finally.
Yeah, like how did they make this game? How did this ever happen? Like I think The Mummy Demastered is my biggest or best surprise. I think for me.
And like I don't know. It's also like almost the funniest surprise for me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
What the
Yes.
fuck?
I've also just heard so much good stuff about that game.
And then Sonic Mania or Resident Evil, I could probably go back and forth on.
I'd cut Mania. I'd cut Resident
I would
Evil.
too.
Resident
I just
Evil.
don't think we can cut Sonic. Like
Well, here's
I said, I think Sonic Mania wins.
Here's the thing too, like when they showed that at the Nintendo event where they showed a bunch like, oh, coming to Switch this year or whatever, and they showed what that looked like, I was like, that looks pretty good.
Yeah,
Like, more
but-
so than any of their other attempts, more so than Sonic 4 or the Unleashed 2D stuff.
I think you like honestly like, and granted this is just the fandom probably talking, but like they have had so many false hopes with
course,
those games
yeah.
because they have shown games that looked just like that before and did
I
not
played that
play
game before
well.
it came out, and there was like the Mean Bean Machine thing was in the build I played, and I was like, that's really neat. And the rest of it was like, huh.
But you were never a Sonic guy to begin with.
I would tell you that I liked the first 4 or 1, 2, and CD that I thought were like pretty okay games. But going back to those games in the just prior to this release, I was like, actually maybe I don't like. Maybe these aren't good games.
Just every time they've tried to do the like, hey, we're going back, the nostalgia thing, like there's always been that weird wrinkle. It like looks weird or it feels weird. Like again, Sonic Episode 4, Unleashed, and Generations all had the like 2D stuff. It's like, hey, we're going back to this, the thing you liked.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it.
Exactly.
Whereas the second I saw Mania, it's like, okay, it looks like they might have finally figured it out. Like that looks like the Sonic that I remember liking. So I was not that surprised.
I think we're at a point now where there's no guarantee that would have been a good game.
Absolutely not. But especially when I heard that Sega wasn't working on it, I was like, okay, well, if it's the right people, then maybe they know what to do.
Yeah.
It had those like faux 3D levels that were like perfectly done too.
But I mean,
and,
like Sonic 2, like the bonus stage
yeah,
stuff.
like,
Yeah,
I think for me, like that was really cool to see them just like nail
The
all
very
that stuff.
idea that like we can talk positively about a Sonic the Hedgehog game.
Yeah.
Hey, they
Yeah.
put in a
Sonic
thing
is
called
bad.
And Knuckles mode where you could play as Knuckles and Knuckles.
I don't like Sonic games. I liked Sonic Mania.
But I think talking positively about a Sonic game can also apply to talking positively about a Resident Evil game because like those games have been kind of trash for a bit.
But
Yeah.
like me and Alex are never liked Sonic, like Sonic Mania. I don't think there's many people that are going to say, I never liked Resident Evil. I like Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
RE6 is one of the worst games I have ever had to review. Like, I
It's
swear
terrible.
to fucking
It's
God.
awful.
it is.
RE5 is one of the worst games,
Dude,
too.
RE5 is awesome.
Yeah, RE5 is
I
really
like
good.
RE5.
RE5 is very good.
There are
RE5
parts that are not good.
Hang
but
on.
I had fun.
It's one of the better co-op
I
games I've
will.
played.
I will
Yeah, I played it
grant
co-op.
the notion that
me and Vinny
RE
beat RE5 on professional.
Yeah,
together.
RE5
I
is
played through all
RE5
of RE5. It's terrible.
I had that
RE5
red
like
one
it
for
less.
360.
I just think it's fun.
I like it less than
good.
6.
What?
If you were
You're out
saying
of your
this
mind, you're fired.
if you were saying this compared to 6, I'm willing to accept that. But RE5 is not a good game.
I
I think my hope for Resident Evil 7 is that it would kind of be condemned, and it's not that. So I don't much care for it. But also, I don't like any Resident Evil game.
I think it's a strong departure from the other Resident Evil games, so I could see somebody getting in at,
Yeah,
at 7.
like when you get down to
totally.
like Sonic is an homage to all the other Sonic
Yeah.
games, whereas RE7 is a complete reinvention of that franchise.
It's starting
like
something
that.
new. You don't have to know anything about Umbrella or the
Yeah.
T-Virus or any of that stuff. Like, this is a jumping on point.
Yeah.
It feels different. It looks different. The story's different.
I'll definitely give it that.
20 years of misery.
Okay, I have a thought. What if the top 3 is The Mummy, Sonic, and Resident Evil?
no,
Battlegrounds has to be on there.
Yeah.
Battlegrounds.
So here's the thing.
I mean,
Battlegrounds knocked the industry on its ass.
Yes.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised I'm agreeing with Abby on this, but like,
wow. I know I have
He
bad
knows your
taste,
standards.
but-
Yeah.
not
Welcome
you,
to the
because
club.
I was passionate about Battlegrounds being on this list, but like the more I think about it, it is very similar to those other games. And sure, it's surprising that everyone's playing it, but like this just happens to be the one that everyone got hooked on.
That's why it is such a surprise.
Yeah,
though,
no one had
There
heard
was
of this.
no reason to think it would happen.
I think this
but the-
wins.
Yeah, I totally agree.
The
Thousand
reason
This is the story of the year. I think.
1,000%.
in terms of going from 0 to 100, these other 3 games did it, whereas PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is so much like H1Z1. It's so much.
I know, but like I think you ask anyone at this table if they're going to play an Arma mod.
No.
Fuck no.
No.
H1Z1 is a standalone thing. It's not an amount. It is not.
I mean,
currently
you know
a
what I'm,
mod.
you know what I'm
but
saying.
try
though.
getting a person to play H1Z1.
Yeah.
Also, I went
Yeah.
back and played H1Z1 and fucking hated it. Like, it's not. I would not have played that game if that's all that
They
existed.
have jackets that look like the flags of the countries, though.
My point is, if you didn't know it, you at the launch of Battlegrounds hype, you were saying like, "Fuck that! What is that? That looks stupid." But like, it was the word of mouth that kind of it just like grew into something and gradually came into everyone's attention. Whereas these other 3 games were on zero radars.
Battlegrounds was definitely not on
I
it.
never heard of
Yeah.
Battlegrounds until it came
But
out.
I think, like, as far as big surprise, like, I think The Mummy, which is a game based on a bad movie that holds up very well and is fun and, like...
It's a good movie game
yes,
in 2017.
it's a good movie game. And then Sonic, which is, like... People have been talking about Sonic all year because of Sonic Mania, and it's a very good game. I don't even like Sonic, but I think it's a good game, and I think it has had a big splash as far as, like, being a good Sonic game again. I think that's very surprising. And I do think there are a lot of arguments made for Resident Evil 7. I would maybe drop that for Battlegrounds, but I think I could see those 3. I think there's an argument to be made about like the legacy of these games make it so that these games are so surprising how good they are.
The thing I guess I would have to say in favor of Battlegrounds actually is that we looked at games like The Culling and some of those other, like the Battle Royale games that were kind of bubbling up before Battlegrounds hit early access, and they were shit.
Like, I heard more about the Culling than I heard about Battlegrounds.
Like, people were talking about The Culling, and you're like, oh, this is a big new thing. You play The Culling, you're like, this is trash.
Yeah.
What is wrong with people?
I had never even heard of Battlegrounds until we did that quick look, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck?
Should we just go around then? It seems like we're kind of
I
at
guess
impasse.
maybe we do.
How are we going to do it? Do we want to rank?
3 stars?
I think we just vote for the one that we want cut.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Okay, let's get rid of the star.
I don't like votes.
Yeah,
Like,
voting
Okay.
something
voting
is off
is
is
kind
not.
of it's a bad way to do this.
I don't know if it's a bad way.
Yeah.
I mean, like, well, I mean, you could definitely make cases for it.
You think this is democracy?
No.
I think we cut Sonic Mania or Mummy. While both were surprising.
I think we cut Resident Evil.
I think we cut Sonic.
Yeah, I think I would
Wow,
lean
we
towards
are
Sonic. I think that would be my
Sonic
first choice.
wins.
Dude, Sonic does not win. There's no fucking way Sonic wins this category.
I wasn't surprised by any of that.
They gave it to the only people on the planet who know how to make a good
Yes,
Sonic
right.
game. That's not surprising.
Sega let them do it, and Sega didn't get in the way.
That's a mild
Both
surprise.
of those are surprising.
It's surprising,
Sonic
yes.
is a joke.
Sonic
like-
is the biggest joke in video
Yes.
games up until this year. If you want to like shit on a franchise and get a bunch of likes on Twitter, you make a Sonic joke.
Yeah.
Until
Sonic-
Bubsy came
Sonic's
back.
so-
Now,
Yeah, Bubsy has taken up
Sonic's
the mantle.
social media became like so self-deprecating because it was such a butt of video game jokes for so long. And then they made one that got me to like it, that got Alex to like it.
And we can't pretend that they haven't tried to do this before, that they haven't tried to evoke that same kind of nostalgia in other games like that and haven't failed fucking
With
miserably.
one glance, you could look at those games and you could be like, this doesn't really look like
that is
it.
not at all how Sonic 4 was received.
What do you
That
mean?
is Sonic the Hedgehog
People were
4,
excited
when they
about
first started
Sonic.
showing
That was
it,
totally stoked
everyone
for
was
that
like,
game.
huh.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
I played that game and went like, huh, maybe.
I looked at it. It didn't look right.
No,
like
like-
the physics looked weird. Like the jump seemed like floaty.
That is the stuff that people came to after release. Like prior to release, they were like, oh, they're calling it Sonic 4. That's cool. That means something. Like they fucking fucked this up bad.
the
with that
soundtrack
game.
is so good. The bosses are good.
The art design is really good.
I felt so much stronger when I first saw Sonic Mania. They're like, yeah, that looks right. And in a way I never felt with Sonic 4.
I looked at that and said, like, this looks like old Sonic, but that's not a guarantee that this is going to be any good because they've done this too many times. Like, it was very easy to be like, I played Sonic Mania and was still skeptical of what that game was.
I can speak only for myself, but every time I saw that game, I was just like, I bet that's going to be fun. Like, it was just a gut feeling. Like, it doesn't mean that much, but like, I just had this hunch that like knowing who was behind it and what they had done in the community and what it looked like, I was just like, that looks like they are actually going to do this right.
I mean, that's how I felt about Resident Evil on its lead up. Like, I mean, you know,
I don't think you can make that claim about a game they've never made before, though. Like, they've never done a first person Resident Evil before.
And I played that at PAX in the VR, so I'm like, I didn't like it.
You can make the claim that, like, I think that looks all right.
But you don't know. Like, you don't actually know until you get your hands on it.
Well, it's the same with Sonic.
I mean, I got my hands on Resident Evil 7 and didn't like it, and then it came out, and then everything worked.
That's it. We did it.
So we're cutting Battlegrounds.
I really feel like both of those cases are stronger than the Mummy.
Should we cut the Mummy?
No way.
Yes.
You know,
That
I
is
would
like
I would
the
take that.
Dude, they
definition of a
don't even
surprise,
make
though.
movie games
I know.
anymore.
Listen,
And also,
I'm with you
they
on it.
totally do.
Also,
How
how
much
much
do
Not
we
on
know?
consoles. They
Not
don't.
on consoles.
They do, though.
You're absolutely right.
But they're
they
all
don't.
they made that Goosebump games last year.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's,
way
I
forward.
think it's a
That
little
is
different
not-
if it's like a kid's game too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm talking about the marquee tentpole like
Right.
big Friday night popcorn movie tie-in
like
game.
the kind of games I made my fucking career reviewing.
Right. like the kind of thing the THQ went out of business making.
Yeah.
But this isn't
Like,
even
they
that.
don't- but it's the closest thing to it in years.
Yeah.
Like, who makes tie-in games anymore? They just don't.
This is like the safe, low budget take on that.
But
though,
it's still
you know?
like, why
still.
does it exist? Like, who thought this was a good idea?
It is really crazy that it exists at all.
Yeah, I think it
Yes,
is.
I agree.
But I think when you look at like the past histories and the quality of the games that they came out, I still think it's easier to make cases for Sonic and Resident Evil.
I think Sonic and Mummy are the ones you can make cases for.
I liked Resident Evil, but I do think parts of it are like, yeah, it's good because I feel like it has moments of like it's taking the good parts of the game, like PT, with like the house that keeps kind of regenerating itself, sort of, or like you're sort of stuck in this infinite loop of whatever.
Or like very
I,
small scale.
Don't think
yes,
it did
I
that.
think it can I think it borrowed a lot of horror game tropes that worked in other games and put it into this one, which is fine. It works, but I don't think it's necessarily doing something as new as like, I don't think it's as surprising that it works because of that, or that it's the best game, the best horror game, because it just I feel like it borrows a lot of ideas.
I think the comparison with PT ends with it being first person. Like, it doesn't do the like repeating house stuff. It doesn't
does.
do when.
It's like you're in the attic or whatever, you like open a door and you're like back in the house again.
But
Like,
does
I
it-
don't think it's the same kind of repeating
Right.
house.
It's a small
but
scale environment.
it loops into
in
the
that
house
first
in the
house.
same
Yeah,
way.
it's not like the
There's-
house is changing, but you're like running around that
You
house.
spend some time in the house, but I mean, that's like any
I
physical
remember
space.
a moment where it like loops.
There's a flashback where you go back to the house later in the game.
I don't
but-
know if I don't remember it.
It's like it's kind of, I don't know if it's exactly a looping
Yeah.
thing, but it's like a door you think is gonna like exit or something, and it's
Oh.
just like, oh, I'm back in that hallway again or whatever.
I don't remember that.
I think, I mean,
It's definitely a smaller scale than other Resident Evil games.
Or there's lots of environments. Like there's the small house at the beginning. There's the big one. There's the big like swampy area. There's the boat. There's
Yeah,
you
but
know,
those are
it's-
like the maps are small at a time. At least what I played, I didn't get
mean, the houses-
I didn't get past the swampy
I
stuff.
think we're getting down to a kind of minutia here that doesn't actually factor into
that's
what
fair.
the issue is here. The issue is, look, all these games are very surprising in their own way. I just think that like the ways in which they are surprising mean more to different people at this table, which is causing us to sort of like getting these circular arguments where we're just not actually advancing anything.
yeah.
Jason, what do you think?
I've only actually played Resident Evil on this list. I still haven't played Battlegrounds. I still think it's some like weird phenomenon, this like mass delusion that everybody's
You
like
don't think
totally
it actually exists.
yeah.
We all play Battlegrounds
Exactly.
down here.
Yeah, but yeah, undeniably, it's brought a lot of smiles to everybody's faces around this table for the most part. So I think that belongs on there for sure. I think Mummy kind of belongs on here. It's so cool to see like a movie tie-in game that's like good. That's super surprising. I don't know. It flies in the face of like normal convention, I guess, you know. Sonic I still don't think is good. Like just like at the end of the day, like that's Sonic, that's great for people that really like that.
But the thing is that I never really liked it.
I don't know what about this. Like
I don't either.
really, because I hear people talk about how similar it is to those previous games that they loved. They finally brought back those games that they loved, and
I think that's
I don't
what it
think they
is. They didn't bring back the game people loved. They brought back the game people thought they loved.
Yeah.
okay.
I will say
I don't know how to quantify that.
I
but-
did not particularly like Sonic Mania. I'm not a big Sonic game person, but I think this game is absolutely one of the biggest or best surprises of this year. Like, I think it took over the zeitgeist so much in like a way that I don't think anyone expected.
If we were sitting here 1 year ago and I told you Sonic is going to be one of the best video games to come out next year, you would have said I was a crazy.
If you told me it was going to be a Sega-made, big next Sonic thing, then yes, I'd be surprised. But if you said, oh, it's going to be a fan-made thing and they're going to be faithful to the originals, that wouldn't shock me.
I think it's totally possible that a fan could have fucked that up, especially under the tutelage of Sega.
Yeah. I mean, had they not put things out in the community that proved they knew what they were doing? Like,
I had seen
Christian
some
Whitehead
fan stuff,
built a Sonic engine. Like he knew how to make a fucking Sonic game and proved it.
I will never underestimate Sega's ability to interfere in things.
I think it's insane
I
with that
most
track
people
record
didn't
that
know
you guys
that. Don't know who Christian Whitehead is.
I knew. I hate Sonic and don't play those games, and I knew about that stuff. Like,
there was nothing you could have said to me that would have made me trust anyone with the Sega banner making a new Sonic game that I would even
with
want
where
to
that
play.
franchise had been and gone. Like there was no way to believe anyone that game was going to be anything other than another shit ass Sonic game.
And
somehow even more heartbreaking because they were evoking classic Sonic even more directly. You're like, oh, well, this is them fucking it up again, and now fucking it up even worse. Like, oh wait,
I felt like that was 4.
That was also 4. Yeah. No, I mean, yes. That's 4
didn't
sets
look
the
this
stage
good.
for this to be like as impressive as it was.
It seems like half of this room is really passionate about Sonic, and then part of the people are really interested in the Mummy, part of the people are really interested in Resident Evil. Like, I know this
like
isn't a
that.
numbers
That
game.
seems like the struggle is between those two.
What, Mummy and Sonic?
Mummy and
Resident
Resident
Evil.
I think it's between Mummy and Sonic.
I think it's between Resident Evil and Sonic. Vinny,
Well,
Vinny, what do you think?
It sounds well. I didn't necessarily love Sonic Mania, and I also didn't necessarily love Resident Evil. I think the surprise that Sonic Sega successfully put out a Sonic game that was well received is pretty big, and the surprise that Capcom took a chance to reboot Resident Evil in a modern way is a big surprise. So I think there are both very valid arguments.
And a happy surprise. Like, it turned
these are all
out
good.
really good.
Yeah, and I think they're both happy surprises. So I totally understand the art. I just didn't necessarily. Neither of them blew my socks off. Like, I made it, part of the way through Resident Evil, then was like, I see where we're going here. Okay, I'm pretty good. And made it, 3/4 of the way. Or played Sonic Mania with my kids a lot, and it's just like, yeah, it's a really well-made classic Sonic game. And I'm surprised that this is out here, and this is great that I can share this with my kids. And so I don't know. It's tough for me to have a dog in this fight.
I think for me, it's more surprising that Sonic made a good Sonic game, like that feels like a Sonic game and is at its very core doing exactly what classic Sonic does, versus a franchise that is failing, rebooting itself and fixing some of its issues. Like, I think that's essentially what Resident Evil 7 has done. And I think it is surprising that it's good, but I think it's also like, yeah, I mean, of course, they changed a lot of the bad stuff. Like, I think there's something much more surprising about a franchise that's been failing and trying to do the classic thing, able to finally
give up and pass it off to somebody else to do.
I mean, it's a Sonic
Put
game.
their
like,
number
that's-
one franchise. Sega's like one of the most brand recognized franchises in all of video games. Being able to put that in a non-employee's hand, having the faith in them,
Yes,
that
they
alone is
made the
surprising.
right decision to know we can't do this right. We've been trying to do this right. Clearly, we can't do it right. We are going to branch out to these fans, pay them to do it right, and they did it right. Like, I think
like
that
that's a
is-
swallowing of
that is
pride that does not
surprising.
happen very often.
Absolutely.
I think judging just by some of the games like that have come out, how much pride can they really have? Like,
And honestly, I don't know. Like, when you start taking like what I heard the budget of that game was into account, they didn't have that much faith in it. They didn't back it in a way that was said like they had faith in it. I
I'm
mean,
sure
they
were
still
probably surprised.
were making another Sonic game.
they're not holding the
along
Sonic
the way,
license with the
too.
white gloves and
Like,
saying, "Here you
Sega
go, be
was
careful with
definitely
our
just
baby."
Like, oh, I guess.
Or
I
didn't
don't
take
know.
a big risk on it. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
it was a very low
The
risk.
fact that Forces was coming out this year too, it also helps with the surprise. Like, they were like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, no, like we'll put this other thing out, but like Sonic Forces, you guys are gonna love this shit.
Like, that was their big Comic-Con nightmare dance party Sonic anniversary thing they had.
Right, yeah.
Was like showing that off some Sonic Mania, and they're like, "Hey, stay tuned to the end because we got some stuff for you, other Sonic, you real, like the
real Sonic
proper
fans.
Sonic fans of regular Sonic." And that was the big like. We've got Sanrio jackets and also
Sonic dabbing.
do new Sonic. Yeah, basically.
So I think it is more impressive that that Capcom was able to take this series with crazy ups and downs and everything and do something completely new with it, narrative, the way it plays, the perspective and everything, than it is for Sega, no matter who made it, to kind of just go back to like, all right, let's just make like one of those old ones. Resident Evil 7 does completely new things. Sonic Mania successfully does things that worked in the past.
It does completely new things for Resident Evil, but like the things it does are like fairly when I say standard, I don't mean that to like denigrate the game. It's not bad, but like these are like it is. The thing Abby was getting at was that there are a lot of like fairly standard horror tropes. Like it is a very jump scare focused kind of game. It does good things with that stuff, and it does make me care about Resident Evil in a way that I haven't in a while. But I don't think it is like a revolutionary or like honestly like a particularly surprising kind of game. It's surprising because it's called Resident Evil.
It does a lot more new stuff than Sonic Mania does.
That's exactly what I would say about The Mummy. Is like there's nothing like hey, someone made a really good pixel art Metroidvania game.
There's a lot of those.
Like there's a zillion of those.
Also,
now.
it's worth
this one
noting
happens to be a movie tie-in.
None of us. Like a lot of us heard really good things about it.
Yeah.
None of us played it.
And I've seen a decent amount of middling reviews.
I played some of it.
Right.
But also, none of us finished it.
Yeah, I did not finish it. I
mean, if we're going to take quality into
back.
account, I think Sonic Mania is fucking terrible. So, like, let's not go there.
But
also, like, I'd say that there's like a good pixel art Metroidvania game. Like we could point at like a dozen of those.
Yeah, that was never the argument about why this game should be on the list. But it's never the argument.
It's the movie part of it.
I think for Resident Evil, though, from what I played, and again, I haven't gotten that far into it, so maybe this changes. Is like you could have called that game Horror House, and like it could have been a good game, right? Like, there was nothing. There was really nothing Resident Evil about that game.
Oh, that's not true at all.
Okay, so
there's nothing Resident Evil.
No, there's definitely elements of Resident Evil. In
Once
it,
that bigger house opens up, like that, there are definitely elements of the original Resident Evil.
So I did not find that stuff. Like to me, it was just like
it took a while. Yeah, definitely.
The possessed girlfriend in the basement, and then like the mom and the family and all that stuff.
That's
was
the
like,
stuff that I was. That's what we saw at PAX, and I was like, I don't know if this is gonna like it's gonna lead me, by the hand and just show me a bunch of horror movie stuff or whatever. It's once you get into that bigger house, once you escape the family and everything, where it's like, oh, this is a Resident Evil game, but in a different way.
Like the puzzle solving, and like you look at it and go, they are making an effective homage to those.
Oh, I got the Scorpion key, and now I can open that, and now I've accessed this whole area. Got my typewriter,
and that was the part where I was like, all right, okay,
really?
I'm good.
I thought it played better than those old ones.
No doubt, but it is still.
I mean,
it was too much like those old ones for me to go like.
It was the part where I was finding fuel for the flamethrower thing to get past the like hornet nest stuff.
See, that's the most Resident Evil ass thing.
That I was like, I don't think I want to spend my time here. I'll come back to this when I.
Look,
it doesn't sound like there's a ton of support for Resident Evil.
Here's what it comes down to.
I like it on the list.
Someone in this room is going to be mad with whatever we end up choosing because we're all pretty steadfast in what we're doing. I know we hate voting. I know we don't like it, but it's like
I just don't feel like there's actually a ton of support for the Mummy.
Like, I'm with you. I would have the Mummy.
The way
I would vote that for the best surprise because it seems like it is very good.
I think it's top 3.
Are you saying
I think
it's a very good game?
Top 3.
I think it is top 3. I would like to play it. I'm sad I haven't played it because of this argument. But I think the fact that they made a very good movie franchise game that holds up super well, it seems super fun. Like, yeah, it's maybe not the most revolutionary type of game, but it's a good game, and that is so big and weird for a fucking Mummy game of all things.
I think there's more passion for Mummy than Resident Evil.
I'm going to fist bump you from a distance here.
Yeah, I'm with y'all on that.
I think it should be top 3. I realize it won't be number 1, but I absolutely think it should be top 3.
This shouldn't be too material, but like that game's not going to get a lot of recognition anywhere else in these awards, and this is the one place that it really matters, and it deserves to be recognized.
I mean, it's a really fucking surprising thing.
Yeah,
it is. It is a silly.
It's the definition of a good surprise. Like,
but I don't know.
I think Resident Evil is a more meaningful surprise because it means this series is back, and now I'm very interested to see what goes.
I was going to say, you're interested to see what's next, but do you feel the series is really back?
It's not back because they announced the DLC is like Chris Redfield, Soldier of Fortune, and he's going to be like fighting through the basements under there. And like,
I think it's definitely back because now when they show a trailer for Resident Evil 8, I'm going to be super excited. Whereas when I saw this first trailer for 7, I was like, I don't trust this at all. Yeah. They really have blown it lately.
Well, whatever. It's neither here nor there. But I bet when they get around to announcing another numbered Resident Evil game, it looks like old Resident Evil.
Like old.
That has been my expectation.
My expectation is that they will make another follow up to 4.
I don't think so.
Oh, I haven't even played the 7 yet, and I assumed this would be the only first person.
Oh no, I think this is the new direction.
It was successful.
Why wouldn't it be? Everyone loves this one.
Because it didn't sell, dude. Like,
it didn't.
It was a sales disappointment.
Really? I didn't know that.
That was.
Makes it even more surprising. I would probably put Sonic on here over Resident Evil, only because I think I agree that Sonic has just been a joke for so long. I would have had more faith in Capcom to figure out what to do with Resident Evil than for Sega to figure out what to do.
But Sega didn't do it.
Well, listen, wait, so
They figured it out, though.
They made the deal.
It doesn't matter who did it.
Yeah.
Like if Capcom had done the same thing for Resident Evil, I would have been even more surprised in them making a good Resident Evil 7. If they had gone to a fan and said, "You know how to make a good Resident Evil game," I would be more surprised than internally them figuring it out. So like for Sega to just do something that's like, okay, whatever, kid, make your Sonic game. You think you can handle it?
We say kid and fan, but keep in mind that this person worked for Sega before.
Yeah, but
did the Sonic
did the
CD
ports and everything,
and iOS, did port work.
Yeah.
This was just like, hey, do some original work. We hear you know a thing or two about this thing.
Fair enough, but like I don't think it was something that they felt was going to be their Sonic.
They didn't.
Banner waiver.
I would almost bet that there's someone at Sega that is kind of mad that is the Sega thing everyone latched or the Sonic thing everyone latched onto.
I'm just going to say yes. That's likely to be true.
I'm really happy for Sonic fans. This is a really great surprise. They needed it.
They needed it more than Resident
I
Evil.
have never wanted to make a Sonic fan happy, but I am super glad that they are.
Sonic feels like a nostalgia thing to me. I like it a lot. It's the best Sonic in forever, but like Resident Evil feels like a new game that is making me excited for the future of Resident Evil. Where Sonic is like, oh cool, I played a thing that felt like a Genesis.
I've got the RE7 sales figures in front of me. It is currently the 6th best-selling Resident Evil game out of 7. Ooh. So
That's
the idea that they're going to make another one.
3?
Let's see.
I bet it's. I think it's 3.
Did the like DS?
I hope it's 6.
No, that's
I
the
think
main
6
main
actually
line.
sold weirdly well.
3, 4, 5. Weird. What is missing on this list? I guess 3 is the worst.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
I can
5.
see it.
It's 5, 6, 4, 1 / director's cut 2, and then 7.
Is that include like remasters or stuff like that, or is it take into account console exclusivity and everything?
I didn't dig that.
Because that would be even
deeply
crazier.
into it.
All right. Anyway,
I'm just saying the idea that another RE game in that mold is forthcoming is maybe.
Well, it still has me much more interested in the franchise that I've liked for a while. I feel like there's some life in it again, where this could have easily been this could have been the Mass Effect Andromeda, where it's like they tried this new thing and it sucked, and now it's like, well, no, we're still going here.
to be fair,
I like your argument, but there are way more people for Sonic in this room.
I also think Sonic or Sega is going to fuck up Sonic, even if they try to do.
I mean, Sega
definitely
Sega
going
fucked
to.
up Sonic like months after this
I
game released.
mean
Like, it's
this.
not.
They are going to do.
This is the moment, and Sonic is dead again.
No, I think they're going to do
Potential wise, let's say they keep going with the Sonic Mania thing, and they don't fuck it up. Then it's just like, how many times can you do the nostalgia? Like, hey, it's like the Genesis game. Whereas Resident Evil, you could actually go places and do interesting new things.
I don't
with
think
it.
that's germane to this category of
I don't
conversation.
think so at all.
I mean, but I also agree with you that I like when they finally get around to saying there's a Sonic Mania 2, I'm gonna be like,
They're gonna
okay,
fuck it up.
sure.
And they
or
will
even
mess
if
it up.
it
probably
is just
fine,
as
but
good,
whatever.
it's like, well,
Yeah.
okay, we already didn't.
You did it.
We had the nostalgia
You
thing.
did it. We're done.
Yeah.
Like, go back to werewolves and whatever bullshit you're putting in these games
Swords
now,
and
because
human ladies.
whatever the kids watching the cartoons want. Sonic Boom for 3DS.
That's not close, right?
All that hot shit. But I think Sonic Mania is a moment in time that will stand the test of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
No matter what they do from
deeply
here,
surprising thing.
is a very surprising thing. And I would take it over RE. I think that's where we're at.
Yep.
It's highlighted.
I kind of agree.
Somebody's got it highlighted.
Okay.
All right.
There it goes.
Okay, what's
Sounds
number
like
one?
There's a consensus here.
Battlegrounds.
Is it?
So, I
The
think
mummy.
Sonic-
It should
Totally.
be the mummy.
I don't know. You guys made a pretty good argument for Sonic.
Team mummy, dude.
It's Battlegrounds.
I like your heart. But
My fellow millennials are wrong. It is PUBG.
it's got to be PUBG.
Okay.
It's gotta be PUBG.
I just think
If they had a pixelated Brendan Fraser, it would have won. But
I think no one. I think the industry was surprised by Battlegrounds. Like it just kind of like I think it caught them off guard in a weird way, or flat-footed at least in a way where they're all trying to catch up, and now
it also keeps surprising, like the in terms of like how big it's getting. It's still kind of shocking to see it hit these milestones of like X million concurrent users and stuff like that.
But now we're at that point where you look at it and go like, that's got to be a scam, right? That's got to be like Chinese miniskirt farmers.
No, dude, all my friends, like
Yeah.
not even my friends who don't like video games like Battlegrounds, like it's seeped
weird.
into the public. Like,
I'm actually less interested in the scale of its success and more in what it does as a game.
Yeah.
Because,
me too. But
or
this is an
like the
additional
things
surprise.
it does as a game that like it manages to make palatable.
Yes, no
When
crafting
you,
shit.
when you, but no, I mean, but like even in terms of just like here's a game with an incredibly long, like you know, there's a lot of downtime,
and there's a lot of ways to play it.
There's a lot of you die and you're out. Like it's everything I have grown to dislike about it. It's an extreme version of the reason why I don't like Counter-Strike in a lot of ways. Like round-based games. Anytime you're not doing it, typically I'm like out.
Hell yeah!
It just pushes it so far in that
And
direction.
this is so far in that direction that I'm like, like this is a horror video game.
I guess-
I'm in a bathroom going,
what it is.
fuck,
That's
fuck,
what it is. That's
fuck,
kind of what it is.
fuck.
Is that they made like a horror shooter.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Like that game creates an experience and a feeling that I felt like I had never had.
hearing
There's
those
a tension
footsteps,
to it. Yeah,
totally.
It's really good.
It makes audio matter in a way that like most games like.
I guess I know it's the winner, but I guess for me, it's not that surprising that a game with it's not like Counter-Strike, but like Counter-Strike is a huge game. Like, of course, there's going to be another one of those huge games, and like people are going to be playing this game forever. Like, it's not that surprising to me that another game like that came out, in the same way that it's surprising to me that a fucking Mummy game is good. It's a fucking Mummy game. It's a movie game
it's
on
pretty
the
surprising.
Mummy.
I think the thing that tilts ultimately Battlegrounds in its favor is that it's not just that it is a surprisingly good game. It is not just that it is a mod turned into a game that turned into this behemoth that it is. It's that this is a mod that no one cared about really, that turned into a gigantic game that is going to have ramifications for the industry for the foreseeable future.
Like the thing I was going to say is that if you take the long view on shooters, this is a once in a decade change.
It's
Like,
like
the last
literally,
literally,
this is a sea change.
Call of Duty 4 is the last time a shooter mattered this much.
Totally.
Plus, it brought Dr.
in
Disrespect into my life, which I am
industry.
grateful for.
Alrighty, I said my piece.
They
The
should've
Mummy
just
should
fair
win.
enough.
That's fine.
Like I said, I like your enthusiasm.
Hey,
The Mummy's
the Mummy
pretty cool.
absolutely belongs on
Second
this list.
place.
They should have called
The
it
Mummy, very good game.
Battlefield Earth, and changed everybody to the aliens from Battlefield Earth, and like that would have been.
That's the Chinese version. Weirdly enough, they had to much murder. Yeah.
Now I can't wait to talk about the Mummy's music in the next category, best music.
Wait, can we
as soon
take a
as
break?
we take a
Yeah.
break.
All right.
And come back and listen to some music.
That'll be nice.